The Zed to Zed Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Zed to Zed Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freem, and thank you so much for listening. At Zed to Zed, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. It's about achievements. We'll unlock it. We have got a full house tonight. The whole crew hangs out for a ton of great gaming discussions. We talk E3 and Steam's new decision on Greenlight. There's a ton of community questions and plenty of horses' rear ends. I know, right? How does that even come about? I mean, I lived through it, and I still can't quite explain it. Well, you can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, zed2zed.com. This is episode 61. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter, at Zed2Zed, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, over at our forums, forum.zed2zed.com, or, of course, email us directly, contact@zed2zed.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Grab Some Popcorn from the game Red Faction Guerrilla. This achievement is in honor of our Titanfall Thursday group, and while there may be no Kettlecarn, this might be the most awesome group of friends that has truly enjoyed our time and our evenings together on Thursdays. As for the achievement, well, go to the main menu and select Spectator Mode. Sit back and watch a multiplayer game happen. You do need to sit through the entire match, and something tells me that there may not be that many people engaging in multiplayer, so bring some friends. Special thanks to developer Volition and publisher THQ. And if you, our fantastic listeners, have a suggestion for an achievement sponsor, let us know. There's that Twitter handle, of course, at Zed2Zed, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D. You can let us know over at our Discord chat, discord.me/Zed2Zed. You know, you can even leave it in a podcast or iTunes review post. So, with that being said, let's bring in my slew of co-hosts. Holy crap, everybody, we have a gigantic show here tonight. There is a full house with me, and it is chock full of things to talk about. So let's get this party started. We have with us Terrigan, of course. How are you doing, Terrigan?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you. Randy is here with us. How are you doing, Randy? Yeah, that's what I figured.
Par for the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, the usual.
There's Damien. Damien, how are you?
My house is empty. Loving it.
Isn't it just brilliant? You got no care in the world.
None.
Brilliant.
Was able to do Xbox Fitness with the music blaring. Loved it.
No pants. Oh, man. Glorious.
I still wear pants.
Of course, Prue is here. How are you doing, Prue?
I am full up on Kettle Corn and Captain Crunch, so I'm doing great. How are you?
Brilliant. I am awesome as well. Let's start the show off with some announcements. It is it's always the 7th of the month. Well, I was a little late this month, but we've got winners for all of our contests in January. You can check them out on the forums. I posted with updates and sent the codes, although I feel a little bit bad about our January random to-do list winner, Enigma Gamer 77. Turns out he's Canadian, and my currency code doesn't work with him. So, yeah, that's a bummer. I figured everybody just uses American money, right? Like what? Or at least has an American account. So anyway, Enigma Gamer 77 wins the random to-do list draw for the month of January. He earned 19 achievements in the month. He had a 3.2% chance of winning. Of course, our big winner of the month, it was actually tied. Two people unlocked 23 achievements, Chin Docta and NBA Kirkland. They both unlocked 23 achievements. Enigma Gamer and Buffalo of Lies, 19. And Koosh Moose came in with 17 random to-do list achievements last month. I got one. What about you guys?
Hey.
You're usually pretty good. Hey, I didn't
That's
get
one
kicked
more
out,
than
though.
me.
There you go. David got kicked out. Terrigan, did you unlock anything last month? I think you took the month off too, didn't you?
It was pretty quiet, but I think I ended up getting 5 or 6, as I recall. But that's about par for me at the
Prue,
moment.
you're usually at the top of the list. Where'd you end up?
I was number 12. I did 14. So I got discouraged. Wait, unless I'm reading this wrong. I am. I'm sorry. You can just cut that out.
Totally reading that wrong.
I read the wrong column. Yeah. Sorry. I'm going to just say that part over again. So we'll just start there. I was I did 9. Which was actually my weakest month so far in the random to-do list. I was just discouraged from that awful Street Fighter whatever, playing that, and I was just so I just stopped doing it, and I gave up.
Randy, you had a pretty good month last month.
I did. That's my best one. I got 8.
Yeah, nice work.
Yeah.
I like it.
This month is going to be bad.
You think so?
There's too many deadlines this month, so
that's tough.
It's going to be bad.
We had
I hate it when work has those.
I know, 100 participants in January that earned at least one achievement. Total, 597 random to-do list achievements between the 100 people. So that averages out to 6 per person. I did not help that average. Like I said, I got 1. Our big point scorers, you can expect with the 23 achievements, Chin Doctor and NBA Kirkland, they both got about 5,000 points. Chin Doctor just ekes out NBA Kirkland just a touch. Stushnikin and Min Pin, despite having less achievements than Kush Moose, indeed got more gamer score points. They're not gamer score.
Ratio points.
So there you have it. Awesome. So January random to-do list. I'm doing well in February. I haven't looked at the standings since, but we also paid out the Gamer Tag Challenge. And the winner at the Gamer Tag Challenge, CS Geek Squad, took that one, and we had 28 people submit, and every person who submitted unlocked both gigantic gamer tags. So both Redemption Denied and M. Surin. I mean, what is that, like 20-some different submissions? I mean, that's a significant
So many E's.
Lots
Too many
of
E's.
E's. Lots of E's. So we had 28 people, and CS Geek Squad takes that one down. And for the Disney Infinity Month, holy crap, there were so many preloaded achievements here. Like, you know, a lot of people had them all done. Like Crandy, you had all 7 games done.
Yep.
Akaraba, he had 6 games completed, pre-completed.
Filthy preloaders.
I had 1 completed, you know. I still got 9 achievements, but anyway, Kez 001, he did the most work, right? He had a 32% chance of winning 208 because he finished Disney 1.0 already, and then he went ahead and started and finished 3.0 and 2.0 and the stacks of them. So
nice.
he got 208 submissions. Did not win, though.
Oh, that is too much Disney Infinity to play to not win, I think.
Isn't that a bummer?
So should I have entered since I had already completed all the games and all the stacks?
You should have.
But you forgot to do that, so...
Yep. You would have had an 11% chance of winning, just like Crandy. Our winner was indeed Akaraba 2 with all of his previous completions. He had 60 entries, a 9% chance of winning. He takes that month for the Disney Infinity Challenge for January. And then we had the Mokas, the M. Surin Overly Convoluted Achievement Spectacular, January's Welcome to the Future for unlocking 2001 or 17 gamer score. The winner of that, Mattism. So those are our 4 winners of our 4 contests. And we'll recap all the contests going on for February at the end of the show. Congratulations to everybody. One other announcement in terms of our community, Mighty Mango, he hit 1 million TA score. And our 56 Cooper had the probably the quote to sum it all up. He is a mighty manganillionaire. So congratulations, Mighty Mango, on 1 million TA
Until the recalc.
Right, actually he did dip down.
He did go under again.
So let's do our wins of the week. Prue, what is your win of the week?
So it's actually random to-do list related. I got to go back and play through one of my favorite 16-bit games of all time, Toe Jam and Earl. And
that game is so brilliant.
Yes, it's so amazing. I've gushed about it before on the show, so I won't go too far into the details. But Normally when you start the game, you're given an option to play either a random world or a fixed world. So I always pick random because that's kind of the fun of it. You don't know what's going to happen, whatever. The achievements for beating a fixed world. So I got to go back through and, just go back through the game and play the whole thing from start to finish. And it was just as amazing as it always is.
How long does that take? Because I remember back in the day that it was always like this. Like, I could never commit enough time to do it, but I feel like that's because my parents were always yelling at me to get off the system.
That's exactly right.
Is it? So what is it like if you sit down to do?
Well, so what's really convenient about the 360 version is that you have save states. So, if you have a bad level, you get run over by the stupid lawnmower guy truck. Or the ice cream truck or the nerd herd or the ducks. Oh my God. You can just reload that level and you'll be fine. So I would say all told, even with the restarts, it's probably a 2 to 3 hour process. But man, that game is just, or you'll open the wrong present and die immediately or whatever. Man, I could go on about that game forever. But anyways, I got to play through it again and get the achievement for my random to-do list. That was awesome fun. That's the kind of achievement I want to get in my random to-do list every time. No more Street Fighter 4, just Toe Jam and Earl achievements. Please, Tarragon, I know you can do it. Let's just do that.
Well, I've got a tip for you. You go into your game collection settings and say done with on Street Fighter 4, and you'll never see that game again.
I know. I won't.
I was going to say, did you do that, Prue, so that you kind of have a nice list here?
Nope.
Because I'm happy with my list because I did that.
I don't doctor it at all because I have to go back through and do all that stuff anyways. Might as well, be motivated to do it.
Yeah,
so.
but the thing is, you aren't though. That's the thing because you went and you just said you looked at that one from Street Fighter 4 and you just went nah.
So, no, I didn't not just look at it and say no. I tried it for like 5 hours and couldn't do it. So then I said no. I need that kind of motivation to force me to do that. Anyways, yeah.
Very well, very well. Randy, what about you? What'd you do? What's your win of the week?
Well, I didn't win an achievement, but I did hang out with Prue on the weekend, and we played Rock Band.
For realsies?
Yeah.
IRL?
Yeah. IRL. We also went to a museum.
So wait, does this mean you've actually seen the Prumate? Is the Prumate real?
I did. He is real. I met him in person, but I forgot to call him Prumate.
Oh, no.
Did you get a selfie? Tell me you got a selfie.
Did he sweeten the pot by bringing you changers? Because he doesn't bring fruit changers.
What?
He have changs.
That's where he works.
I've never had the changs.
Oh, it's so good.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to, but there's not around.
You can get it in your local grocer's freezer.
Oh, that's garbage. Don't do that.
You gotta get the
PF
real
Chang's
stuff.
for $2.
Yeah, don't do that. Although that Asian one of the orange chicken I think they have that's actually pretty good. But no, you got to go real deal, man. You got to go to the experience the thing. Ours, and I don't know if I assume the decor is pretty consistent across all of them, but
it's very chain.
Do they have the giant like plaster Paris horse out that stands out in front? That like has the little like clover thing on its butthole. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I didn't check the horse's butthole, but
I think that's a different shop frame.
No, dude. Swear to God, man. You go and you check out this gigantic horse, and it's like part of the armor that wraps underneath the horse's rear. And like it might be supposed to be a buckle or something. I don't know. It's shaped like a clover, and it is like right where the poop chute is. It's just it's weird.
It's kind of like what Adam wears in like the Adam and Eve pictures. It's the clover leaf over the private parts. Yeah.
I think it's more awkward that you paid that much attention to the horse. Like outside the rest of
hey, look at that horse's butt.
To be honest, though,
check out
the horse is 25 feet tall. I mean, it is a massive horse. Like, it is huge. That's why I wondered, do you guys have this? Like, these giant, massive Trojan horse-looking things. Oh, I suppose they're Mongolian horses or whatever the hell Changers is. But ask Prue. This is your homework. Ask Prumate to check out the horse's rear end out front of his store. And tell me if there's some weird-looking clover thing. Have him take a picture. Because, the one that's by me is pretty far away. He goes there every day.
He's going to be very grumpy about it, but I'll definitely ask him.
He's grumpy about everything. We need digital imagery of
he would not
the horse's butt.
No, we asked him to, and he promptly fell asleep like 15 minutes after you showed up. So
we pretty much got there, started playing Rock Band, and then like he just disappeared like real quick. And
he's shy. Crewmates are shy creatures, you know. They kind of disappear.
I hope you got a Sharpie and drew calluses on his face.
See, but then I thought afterwards, what a great time to change his Xbox name. He's asleep. We're both there. I can verify that it happened. Maybe participate and assist.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. But anyway, it was very fun. We played Rock Band, and then Rock Band made me sad because it's bad.
It's because it's Rock Band.
Because it just does that to two Randys.
Yeah.
What about you, Damien?
We had a good time.
What was your win of the week?
Hey, one quick question. I just sent you a picture. Is that the horse you're talking about? Like that's the one in front of the Fort Lauderdale Changs that I've been to. Or is yours bigger?
It is. Ours is bigger. But I bet that horse has the thing over its butt. I swear, dude. I mean, it's got that little curled up tail thing because they want to keep it out of the way. You know, it's dressed for war. But dude, ours is literally 2 stories tall.
I'm never going to a ranch with you. That's all I'm saying. Hunting around horses. I'm like, Frame, you're on your own, dude.
Creepy. You go elbow deep. All right. Well, tell us your win of the week then. If you don't want to look
I'm
at
still in shock
anus.
after what you said. All right. No, so it was a fairly uneventful week for me. So best I could come up with was a perfectionist in iZombie. So that's a game that I had dove a while ago for. I think I was doing it for G-Task last year. So on part of I'm 2 games away from completing 600. So I have this iZombie that I can bang like 3 more achievements out in. So a perfectionist, it felt fitting. You know, I'm like, yeah,
for
that's
sure.
what I seem to do.
Is that on the phone or on the One?
This is the iZombie on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Is it on the phone too?
Is there? Well, it's a phone port. I didn't know if there's a Windows phone. This probably came out too recently to have a Windows phone.
Yeah, pretty sure it doesn't have a Windows phone port with achievements anyway.
Yeah,
there you have it.
Because I really need 2,000 achievements for that game.
Right. I like it because it's the letter I, and I can just kind of slow bleed it here and there.
And
Darrigan, what about you?
And it has zombies.
And it has zombies. I'm doing it this month. What was your win this week?
Well, this one's back in the bubble, baby, which isn't really an achievement per se, but I have managed to return from my very long voyage in Elite Dangerous to get back to inhabited space and being able to actually get online and play with a bunch of our bunch of the people who are in the ZZ group. So we've actually been working on our basically not exactly on our player faction, but we've kind of decided where we're going to set up base, and we're basically working to destabilize the factions that are there, so that when we get injected into it, we won't have to work as hard to get our faction in control. But yeah, it's been really good just to get back into inhabited space and start doing some stuff that's not looking at stars.
When you came back and like cashed in all your exploration stuff, were you just loaded? Or
no, I'm actually slow sort of cashing that in, because you can use the your exploration data for influence as well. So, but the way influence works is you do a certain amount of stuff and it fills up a bucket. Once the bucket gets full, you can't do anything extra. So there's no point doing heaps and heaps of stuff because it's wasted. So I've basically just been sort of slow bleeding that stuff into various places that'll help. So I have no idea how much I've got backlogged there, but I've made a few million already. I've just got to get through the other 50-odd pages worth of exploration data I've got to cache in.
Right.
So I don't know if I'll make Elite Explorer with that, but we'll see.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me. It's good to be back.
So mine is not a win of the week. I'm calling it the wreck of the week. So here's what happened. Do you remember last show when I said, it's the GTASC and we got to set it up so our team is in the 2017 increments, right? And so planting on our GTASC team line this thing up perfectly. Boom. We're sitting right on 2016, finished recording the show, and I was like, oh man, I can't play any games. You know what? I should probably go to bed. it'll be fine. So I'm just gonna sign in and do my daily, my daily sign-ins. And really, I'll do Rayman and I'll do Prominence Poker. And what ended up happening is in Prominence Poker, if you don't sign in every day, you lose your streak. And so every day I sign in, right, I got a 5-time streak. I'll get like $6,500, and that that'll keep just inching me toward $1 million. I think I'm at like 780,000 right now, and so I'm just slowly building up to $1 million. Well, I went to do my check-in, and immediately when I sign in, bling, the diamond shows up. I earned 100,000 chips in daily check-ins. Son of a bitch! I totally ruined our setup. So it's like, and it's already like 2 a.m. I'm not gonna earn another 1,987 achievement points. Like, oh my god, I couldn't believe it. I felt so bad. So sorry for ruining the bonus for my team, but I did earn the 100,000 chips for my daily check-in.
And that's the important thing. Wait.
I still question why we added you to our team now. That was the dumbest idea I have. Randy, I'm sorry.
Yep. I am totally dead weight.
Should have taken Brew or something.
Yeah, well, I know. Let's move into our feedback, of which there is plenty. We'll start with Twitter. Alex, he says, hey, hearing that Randy loves vanilla Coke made my night. It's really the only soda we get in the house, and he thought it was Australian only. No, big vanilla Coke fan?
I do like vanilla Coke a lot, and up until about a year ago, you couldn't get it in Canada at all. Well, kind of. So there was like 2 years ago, they'd have those like Coke freestyle machines that were really hard to come by, and that had vanilla Coke. But in bottles, you couldn't get it. And then the summer Crystal Pepsi came out. Vanilla Coke also came out in Canada. But before, when I would go visit the U.S., I'd always bring some back for my friends because they're like, yeah, vanilla Coke. Like, vanilla Coke's so good, but you can't get it. I can get it, I guess. And then I moved to the U.S. and I can get it all over the place.
I love those freestyle machines, though, because raspberry Coke or orange Coke.
I like lime Pepsi. That is a Canadian thing. At least to my knowledge, it's not in the U.S.
I'm pretty sure. I think we get that here. I think that we get that here. We had we just had a limited release of like it's a ginger Coke. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, ginger Pepsi. So was it Pepsi or Coke?
It was Coke, and it was just like
Coke's ripping off of Pepsi. Because last summer in Canada they had ginger Pepsi that is like a really strong ginger. Like it's very gingery, almost to the point that it doesn't really taste sweet anymore. The sweet just kind of like offsets the spiciness, which it was released in the U.S. under a different name. It was like 1894 or something, the one in the gold can that was ginger. Same thing, just cost way more for no reason because it's in a fancy can. But when I went to Canada this winter, I didn't see it, so it must have been a limited thing.
When you guys are talking about the freestyle machines, you're talking about those crazy like digital ones where you can just like
that's got all the flavors, and there's like
237 combos.
And they always have to refill them because the little cartridges are so tiny that they only last 10 minutes.
They have them at like Five Guys and other places like that.
Devani's. Oh, those are great.
Well, they have them at like some McDonald's and stuff too. Like they're.
Oh, I've never seen them at a McDonald's.
Yeah, it's mostly places that like if they renovate, then they'll put those in. Right. They just don't just put them in just cause usually.
Six Flags has them.
Yeah. Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, they're in a little Coke.
I do like those too.
Yeah.
And if you get the unlimited refill 2016 thing, oh yeah, that's great. I get my one Coke product every day that I go to Six Flags when I'm on my way to Philadelphia.
You have to go to Philly?
Just stop it. You just stop at Six Flags to fill up your cup?
Okay. Well, so usually what will happen is I have meetings in Philadelphia and I'll be in New York for the day. And so if you're heading down the turnpike in Jersey, the Six Flags is about 35 minutes out of the way at most. So if I have meetings in the morning and if I finish my meetings in the city at 3:30, I could be at Six Flags by 5 in the evening. Open till 9. Got 4 hours. What am I in a rush to do? Go to a hotel in Philadelphia? So, you really can't have a bad day if it's Thursday, you don't pay for parking, and you're riding a roller coaster. It's really hard to have a frown when you're going like, my day sucks.
Unless you're me.
Yeah. That's true.
There you go.
No, I do like Six Flags.
Yeah, it's great. Before I move into the next comment, I have found digital proof. All you have to do is type in P.F. Chang's horse butt and do an image search, and everything shows up. And I was wrong.
Yeah,
it's not a clover. It is a heart.
It's a heart.
It is indeed a heart. But that is on every one of them that's out there. That's what you're missing, guys.
I'm gonna have to investigate this and see if this is the case. Maybe it's just where you are, Freem.
Nope.
Get Premade in here right now. See if he knows.
He's not home. Maybe when he shows up, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Text him.
So,
Well, is he at work?
Go outside and check your
is he at
horse's
work?
butt.
He is at work. Actually, I'll send him a message. See if he can send us a picture.
See, that's even better because he'll be able to go out and check right now and be like, guys, I need to step out for a minute and investigate the horse spot.
I'm telling you, man. Don't
worry, it's totally
live horse butt investigation.
Speaking of local establishments, Mighty Mango chimed in on our GameStop discussion last week, and he said, "Hey, I talked to my buddy about all that GameStop stuff that we talked about, because he is a manager at a local store here in Minneapolis, and he said that most of the report actually has some truth to it, but the examples of people selling used copies over new and lying is a store-level management issue, not like a global type thing." He says that he does have to play a little game with his part-time employees, and that and then have the full-time people sell the new systems. Otherwise, it messes up the number of the part-time employees. So he kind of plays with the thing in that instance. Those full-time people maybe have a little bit more flexibility because they're there all the time. But those part-time guys, their hours and what they're selling are shifted. So he also says that the program has been around for like 10 years and they're just focusing on the numbers now because it's the end of their fiscal year and because their sales were down 18%. So they're a little, maybe not so happy about where the numbers lined up. That's some good insight. Thank you, Mighty Mango, for that.
18% is a pretty significant drop for
mighty
for sales.
Well, but look at how much digital has been pushed the last couple of years, though.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people are totally ditching physical now. See, that's where my concern comes in. I hate GameStop, but I mean, they're kind of an indicator.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know you like to hold on to your little relics of the past, but
I like those relics very much.
We, of course, last show we mentioned Nerve Bullet, and Tony Coconuts heard our podcast last week, and he said, "Hey, I'm listening to the podcast, and I'm stunned that there's someone else from Bahrain." It's like both of us who live here. And I mean, that is pretty remarkable that we have two people listening from Bahrain. But Tropan, he says, "I think actually Randy lives there. At least in the mornings, he wakes up and says, Bahrain."
It's a good one.
That's fantastic. Good work, Tropan. I totally appreciate that. So that's the quote of the week. Man, so I open the floodgates on my friend feed, and I can't possibly go into everything that's been discussed on my friend feed because it's insanity. But I cherry-picked a few of the questions here, and we're going to kick them out to you guys. R56 Cooper, S11, he says, "Hey, if Pokemon Go was to suddenly get achievements, would you guys play it?"
Well, I was already playing it, so...
Yep.
I'm not Randy.
It depends.
Well, depends on what. If
I would already have
depends on how long it takes. Well, it'd be a lot more appealing to me if it was on Android.
You got to
or if it had a leaderboard
Android
achievement, then you know he's going to start it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that already happened this week.
That would be the only leaderboard achievement I think I would have ever gotten if Pokemon Go had one.
I mean,
did you play Gimme 5?
No, I still haven't.
Okay.
Hey, we gotta
think about the list. Like it'd be collect everything, right?
Well,
I mean, that's going to be one of them.
Well, see, I don't know, because that's the thing. If they did some crazy, massive grind, I'd probably avoid it. But if it was reasonable and you could kind of, mostly get it without a ton of excessive 200-plus hour grinds, then I'd probably start it.
I actually think they would go in a different direction. They couldn't do collect everything only because everything is super subjective. It changes, keeps changing. They keep adding things and stuff. I mean, I guess they could start it initially, but that's kind of not what their focus was. I think the tough stuff would be like take over 10 gyms or something like that, and it could be very location specific to where people are. So that that would have been kind of problematic.
Like there isn't going to be one for walking a marathon.
Oh, exactly.
That'll be one.
Hatch 500 eggs or something like that. It would be ridiculous, but we already play it. But,
spend $500 in the Poke Shop.
Yeah.
Well, I think honestly, I think it's where they have the gold badges already in the game. So when you start getting those, like catch, what is it? I think the gold is for catching 10 Pikachu types or whatever. Walk certain amount.
Pikachu's not a type. Things. Cough. Sorry.
Yeah, I know, but not electric type. But there was one specific to Pikachu's versus just catching 10 electric type. I remember there was something for catching.
Right. No, there is Pikachu specific ones for sure.
Yeah, but I think that's a lot of times it seems that's all the devs use to make their achievement list. Like, oh, what did we already put in game for this? Okay, 10 gamer score.
Those lazy bastards. Well, there you have it. We totally probably would. Completionists beware, because you might actually get some exercise. Skeptical Mario asks, if you had to choose one button, a single button on the Xbox controller that you'd never be able to use again, what would it be?
I like this one.
Would it affect your gaming? Do you have an
thought
answer?
About this. I think I beat it. The sync button.
That's what I was thinking.
I thought exactly the same thing.
Actually,
just plug that thing in every time.
I have to do that anyway because my wireless doesn't work. But my second choice would have been the home button, because you can still do everything without the home button. It's just you have to restart your Xbox if you ever need to get to the dashboard. So I can live with that.
Boy, that would be
better than losing like the hamburger button or something.
Yeah.
Or left on the D-pad, because when do you ever need to go left?
I was just going to say the D-pad in general. How many games do we find using the D-pad?
I use the D-pad all the time.
Elite Dangerous uses it. It's a requirement of the game.
Well, you can't even change weapons and gears without the D-pad, so I guess...
Yeah. What I'm thinking is like left stick click. The pushing in, or the right stick, pushing in the right stick.
That was if I had to pick an actual button, that was going to be my choice, right stick click.
Right stick click on some games is like zoom in for your sniper, isn't it?
Yeah,
sometimes.
But that's kind of been done away with mostly now.
Yeah. Those games are garbage.
And you could probably change your control scheme to work around that. So.
Yeah.
And you know what game I'm talking about. That's Halo for all you people.
And here's the thing. If you have an Elite controller, you have extra buttons that you can disable. So I don't know if this counts for that. But
well, they only count as copies of other buttons. So yeah, if you disable your X, then it's It's still disabled.
That is a great question. He comes up with a follow-up question saying, less philosophically, what would be the worst first-person game to play in VR? Now, I'm gonna say this is existing first-person game. Okay? No, we're not. We can come up with some real crazy stuff that's first-person, but I want to know the existing first-person game that you would just dread playing in VR.
The shower one I thought about.
Yeah.
Is that a first person?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I think just from a purely, it will almost definitely make you vomit. Mirror's Edge is probably one of the worst ones because it already caused people to get queasy just without VR. And I think if you put that into VR and then you've got the entire mechanics of sliding around and jumping and all that sort of stuff, that would be very disorientating, I think, in VR. There's probably worse games you just don't want to see this in VR, but I think you'd get sick. Mirror's Edge.
I was kind of thinking Call of Duty in that same regard. It's just so twitchy. or maybe like a Titanfall, just because it's like, oh, it's so fast. You got to be moving and climbing, and yeah, like that would just get nauseating.
I was thinking, for me, kind of like a best and worst is Steep. You know that game that they announced that Ubisoft announced at E3, and then it released, and then nobody knew it existed ever. At no point in between here and there did anybody play it. But I don't know. I feel like that game was just made for VR. It's just like these crazy, like cinematic, like you said, parachuting and skiing and snowboarding with no VR support. So I don't know. Maybe it's because it makes you really sick, but it'd also be really cool to play in VR because I feel like that game is like that is a VR game, but they just didn't put VR in it.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's the thing. It's it's these concepts that sound like they would be great in VR, and it's like that. Hey, VR is made for this kind of thing, except that you actually do it practically, and you just end up,
barfing all over the place,
emptying your guts.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that was the idea. Then like, well, it's done. We might as well just publish it anyway.
So yeah, along that same lines, like I've been playing a bit of Portal 2 this week, and I was thinking that would be super disorienting, especially if you're doing the kind of drop through the portals over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Or if somebody pops a portal in front of you when you're moving and you get disoriented, you don't know which way is up, and it doesn't. There's if you're doing it in VR, there's no like auto rate. I don't know how that would even work, but I feel like you would get sick playing Portal in VR. Maybe it'd be great. I don't know, but it'd be tough.
I mean, the other one for me is most assuredly any first-person scary game. Layers of Fear, Paranormal Activity, the frickin' Emily Wants to Play, and they actually exist in VR. I would absolutely die. Like, those just sound terrifying.
Alien Isolation, that would be really good, actually, I think, in first person.
I am so terrified of, like, scary games like that. Even when I'm at the comfort of my couch with, put my headset on, and it's like, I am, freaking out. I can only imagine if I sensory deprive myself and get into the that scenario. Oh, man, that would be... You'd have to put a heart rate monitor on me and make sure I didn't pass out.
So it's exposure therapy, Frame.
Is that what it is?
You'll get used to it. You'll be fine.
Get over it.
You get used to it.
Damon, do you have anything that in mind?
No, I think you guys kind of covered the things that...
The pukey happy fun times?
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the... Yeah, I guess I think about it, and usually the games that I wouldn't want to play in VR are just games that I thought were awful to begin with, and it's just, do I really want to immerse myself in a world of like an already pretty crummy game? I mean, otherwise, like, I think the ones like Portal, right, like where you could get so just wrapped around like zero type gravity situations where you're just spinning and you're going, which way's up? I'm just so lost.
What about games like Euro Truck Simulator, where like in VR, where it's like, hey, you want to sit in the cockpit of a car?
I was just thinking,
you realize you've just described Elite Dangerous, right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Which does have VR.
And I have a friend that's been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous in VR. That's one of the big ones he's doing, and he loves it. I mean, I was thinking Forza type is... people already kind of go with those racing cockpit simulators already. So just to kind of take it to the next level and fully immerse yourself.
Well, but that's different. You're going fast in those games. Like, I don't think you're flying in Euro Truck Simulator or Farming Simulator. Like riding a tractor, something tells me the tractor's not getting up to 80 some miles an hour.
Yeah, but that experience...
Well, then what about just taking it back to like My Horse and Me Too and just doing that in VR?
Is that first person?
I thought it was.
I have no idea. I never played it. You can like brush the horse in first person. Oh, how nice!
You've never done anything until you've done dressage.
Hey, I'm curious.
I've got an idea for a new game. Get it onto Steam Direct now.
We haven't talked about that yet.
Would the beanbag game in Hannah Montana be easier in VR, first person VR, or would it just be as awful as it was initially?
I think it'd be harder.
I think those launch titles would just be horrible in VR anyway.
If you guys were in Discord earlier today, you would have seen me post a picture of what I was working on in Big Rigs today.
VR support?
First person.
First person mode.
First person concept drawing. Screenshot.
I like it. That's great. That's great.
Crayon shot.
It was actually part of a cutscene, but it could have doubled as the VR view of the cockpit. Yes, I was drawing a cutscene.
Ellaphalet77, he asks, or she, I think it's a he, what genre of game do you think is underrepresented on the Xbox One, and what do you want to see more of? Do we have a genre that we don't see enough representation of?
Snowboarding. I haven't had a good snowboarding game in ages.
Steep? Although I hear that's not good. I hear that's not good snowboarding. That it's a
Which
kind of
one?
a sim. Steep. The one we were just talking about, Ubisoft Steep.
Yeah, the one that released and nobody knew that it released because, I don't know. Like, it just, that game was like the biggest, like, major release that just went totally unnoticed in a long time.
It's classified under collection, not snowboarding, so I do not.
Yeah, it has a bunch of stuff.
It has skiing and a bunch of
snowboarding, parachuting, and the fly suit.
Bowling,
yeah, right. Base jumping, or whatever.
Can if you want.
Watching load screens.
I mean, there's not a lot of real time like the mouse and keyboard strategy type games.
Yeah.
I mean, we're coming out with Halo Wars 2 now. Obviously, that's pretty underrepresented, but like, I don't like those games. I don't think they're very fun. So that's not
I
something
do
I
want a Civ Rev 2 though. I would love a Civilization Revolution 2. That would be amazing.
I would say there aren't enough Japanese visual novels. That's what we're severely missing. As a specific genre, a specific niche, we don't have enough of those. I think there's like 2.
I like the real-time strategy games, but I mean, yeah, they are underrepresented, but there's a reason for that. It's because they're not built to be played on consoles and really shouldn't be played on consoles because it doesn't work. I mean, if you're going to have a good RTS, you need a mouse and keyboard.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like really the only games that are really underrepresented on the Xbox One are games that just don't work on consoles. Because now with ID at Xbox, we get everything. Like, we get tons.
Pretty much.
Yep.
What do you want to see more of? There's one. So I've got a game idea in my head that I totally want, and it is a turn-based zombie horde survival. So it's like XCOM, only you're in a base, and like the zombies are coming in from all over, and you have to like build up fortifications, and it's all turn-based like XCOM. I think that would be so much fun, and like you gotta use your action points to put up barricades, or you can take pot shots or melee or whatever. That's the game. That's the game I want. So I want more turn-based strategy games like that. And if you can put a zombie theme on that, now we got a winner. Terrigan, you got anything? Anything you want to see more of?
Well, yeah, I guess
Space
turn-based
Sims?
strategy was there, but I feel like we've got Space Sims covered pretty well. I'm not sure that I need another one. Japanese visual novels, I think, was the only thing
I would,
more, huh?
I would argue 3D platformers. But that's just a general industry kind of shift, anyways. But we're getting ukulele very soon, so maybe I should.
That's exciting. Yeah. I'm excited for ukulele. Yeah. I shouldn't be.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I shouldn't be excited, but I can't not be excited.
Does sound
maybe this is the Banjo 3 that I've been waiting for.
It's going to be great.
Randy, are you feeling okay?
No. Well, that's what I'm saying.
There's something wrong. You're feeling like tingly, and there's a sense of anxiety.
Because then I'm going to get burned. Because it's going to happen. It happens every time. Yeah. I'm not that excited. I'm like Doom level excited. And Doom was great. I didn't expect too much, and I was very happy with Doom.
Cautious optimism is what I'm hearing.
No.
Very well. We have a slew of questions from Beer Me. He spammed my feed for fun, and he starts off by asking, For Honor, Anybody play that? Anybody interested? What do we feel about it? It's getting pretty good reviews. You guys watched any streams? You getting the beta?
I watched.
I don't even know what it is.
For
this
Honor.
game has flown completely under my radar.
Completely under your radar?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's there. Yeah. It's just like,
So this, Randy, you'll remember the speaker who came out with that little cane and the massive beard, who was remarkably excited about his project.
Yeah, that had like the really incoherent trailer.
And he was so passionate about the Vikings and the samurai.
I know, he was. And that's why
knights.
I was like, I mean, he's like, either he is like the lie engine in person or like he's really like into it. I don't know.
I haven't listened to the podcast yet, but I did see that the Game Informer podcast had an interview with him. I think because they're doing For Honor coverage. And so they had an interview with that dude. I'm excited for when that comes through because I watched the little clip of it, and you guys can see it on my webcam here. And so I'll try to explain it for the listeners. But he's looking at the webcam, and he's got his massive hand with like tons and tons of sterling silver rings, like big, thick rings, and he sticks his fist out like the Infinity Gauntlets and just crushes it in front of the camera. And he's like, "You have to grasp the glory." Like, I mean, he was just so passionate about what he was saying.
I know, because see, I liked him because he's the only person that didn't sound like a scripted robot in all the stuff. And I will give him credit for that. But like, I don't know. I think I watched the previous year's trailer or something, or like that year's. There was something about that game that was just completely incoherent, and I was like, you just jump from here to here, and now it's this, and none of this makes any sense. Why was it cut together like this? Like you just said this, and now you're showing this, and it doesn't make any sense.
So I watched the Clueless Gamer of Conan playing it with a bunch of sports ball people. And
I love those.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, and so that's my only exposure to it. But to me, it looks a lot like Dark Souls mechanics put into a 1v1 kind of a thing. So you're playing against it's kind of slow and heavy the way that Dark Souls feels.
Very heavy, very tactical.
Yeah, so it's and you're pitted. You're some sort of warrior, like you mentioned all before, Freem, versus some other warrior. So it looked interesting. I don't know, not my thing, but it looked neat. I'd say that.
I would say I completely wrote this thing off when I first saw it. I'm like, this is absolutely does nothing for me. And leading up to it, still nothing. And now I've started to see some beta footage of it, and I'm like, okay, I maybe kind of turning around on it. I'm sure if I played it, I would enjoy it. But again, it's not a genre of game that like I really want to dive into. But I might. I'm sure Terrigan's going to buy it at some point. He for no reason. and so I'll end up playing it at some point. But I
resemble that remark.
Cut him off from Game Share.
Right. He also says
he's abusing your game share privileges.
The Xbox Rewards program has offered to bump me up to 5 stars, which would get him 10% off all purchases if he spends $175 before the end of February. So he needs some recommendations on what to buy. Unfortunately, gift cards do not qualify, which he would have done, but movies and TV shows do. So do you have any recommendations on what he should spend $175 in before the end of the month?
I would say don't bother. Do the math. You've got to spend $175 now, and that means for the rest of the year, or for however long that particular 10% bonus works, you need to spend 10 times as much as that in order to make that money back. And so you need to spend $1,750 over the next whatever to make back the money you're going to make spending the $175 to get there in the first place.
Not to mention you're already at 8% if you're being bumped up to 10%. So it's actually only a 2% extra bonus.
Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it.
So
unless you're going to be spending the money anyway.
$5,000.
Yeah, if you're going to be spending the money anyway, sure, but I don't really think, if you do the math, it's really not worth it.
But if you're going to buy something, donate to the show more is what I'm
That's
hearing.
Right, yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We give a guaranteed return.
Yeah.
Well, there might be some goodies coming up.
But let's
keep tuned.
In the essence of the question, let's come up with some game recommendations that it's like, oh man, if you haven't got this yet, absolutely pick this thing up.
Yeah, well, okay. Obviously, Elite Dangerous. It's a bit hard to say without knowing what he's already gotten, I guess.
So just tough. Just pick a couple of things.
Old XBLA stuff that will probably be delisted. That's my recommendation.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Because most of it's not going on sale at this point. So if there's anything on XBLA that you think you might want at some point, it's probably better to be safe than sorry and just buy it. Because stuff gets delisted all the time. Although it's been pretty good lately.
I'll give you a movie not go and get, and that's Passengers. That movie was crap.
If you don't have State of Decay yet, you should get that. That thing is super fun, and if you have a challenge, like that'll be the end of the challenges, and then if you, oh crap, what was the other thing that I've been enjoying recently that you should totally get?
Rayman
Sonic CD.
Quantum Break.
I haven't played Quantum Break, but that wasn't it.
Mirror's Edge Catalyst has been high on my list lately.
Yeah.
My Horse and Me Too.
I don't know if would it count if you got EA access. I wonder if that would count against that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to suggest DLC because that has if you're a completionist, that rarely goes on sale.
Especially the 360 stuff now,
right?
It's
Because
very
they'll hit you with backwards compatibility and games with gold, and try to get you to buy the DLC. And so
buy every piece of DLC for everything, just in case it goes games with gold in like the next few months.
There you go. That's
Except
how
Mad
you eat
Moxie.
up your 175.
Don't bother buying that.
Well, you can get Mad Moxie on disc, so no need to buy it ever.
Yeah, that's right.
Just borrow a disc or buy a disc used so they don't get any money for that piece of garbage.
Actually, I found it on clearance now, the complete box set for the Borderlands with all the DLC, and I think it was like $9.99.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
It's pretty good.
Terrigan, you had one last message from Beer Me.
Oh, yeah. This was about Crackdown 3. He asks, he was just thinking about the long, seemingly endless delay for Crackdown 3, whether it's due to the insane success of GTA's online microtransactions, and maybe they went back to the drawing board to try and mimic that particular cash flow.
Bad idea.
Yeah, I don't think there's any evidence that that's what's going on with Crackdown 3. I think personally, Crackdown 3 probably just hit a whole bunch of technical hurdles with their attempts to use the cloud-based technology, and it was just never quite good enough. So it's probably going to be a Scorpio release.
They tweeted again.
Offset that. Did they?
Yeah, like last week, there was just out of the blue tweet with like two guys. It wasn't any like significant update. They're just like, "Hey, we're here."
It's like, "Hi."
Wait,
I went to the shop.
Tweeted?
Yeah.
Like, I coded something today. I still work here.
And
I adulted.
We went to lunch, and it was nice. And
lol, pooping. Yeah, I can't see that. I don't know there's been any evidence of them thinking about a GTA-style microtransaction sort of thing.
Well, why would
I don't think that would work.
Yeah.
I think like 50% of the success of GTA Online is that it's GTA. Like just the name alone attracts people.
I'm
the world is huge. Like, I don't know.
Agent, you don't have enough money in your bank account.
Agent, you need to go to the marketplace and buy more orbs.
You need to jump higher. Buy a 5-minute jump higher.
Oh, no.
Pack. Do you want to collect the orbs faster, Agent? Buy a 5-minute boost for $2.99 on the marketplace. You can get those orbs faster without leveling up. Agent, the dossier is incoming.
They've
so
been
you only
pretty
get so many jumps for so
with,
long.
And then the gravity kicks in.
Yeah.
But they've
Agent,
been
you need more
successful with
dossiers.
the Halo rec packs. I mean, could they do something like that where it's like,
they could
sports
certainly
car
do it.
or...
I hope
they can certainly do it. They can certainly do it.
Cosmetic garbage.
I don't see them delaying the game specifically for that. I think it's definitely delayed because of technical reasons.
I totally agree. I think they bit off more than they could chew, and I'm not even. Well, it's got to be playable on the one, but I'm sure that's going to be a stripped down version. That's for sure.
Well, the other thing too is it could be. I mean, it seemed like they had these plans where you could you had this kind of shared online world where you could just destroy a building and it would stay destroyed. Maybe it was just. It turned out it just wasn't fun or didn't work. I mean, like they could have run into the thing of, okay, you've got some guy who is maxed out and he's just going around ruining the game for everyone.
He's wrecking everybody's house.
I mean, that's what happens in GTA Online. Like
all the time.
I never go into a public game because somebody just appears that has $1 billion and then just kills you for no reason.
Over
and they don't just happen to pass.
Park.
Like they don't just happen to pass by. Like they drive across the map to kill you for no reason.
They're like sharks. They can smell new blood, and they just go after you.
They just come and kill you.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's stupid.
Nice.
It's C Day today. I'm going to kill people with a gamer tag that starts with C.
No, it's A to Z Day, and I'm going to kill anyone with a gamer tag that starts with the letter anything with the letter A to Z, or a number, or a symbol. I don't know if you can use symbols, but. Just in case.
If he'll kill them anyway.
Kill you anyway.
Yep.
I'm starting to think they spare people who have numbers in their title. The numbers will protect you. If you have a normal looking gamer tag, you're dead.
It'd be the opposite. I mean, there's lots of numbers and X's, and
I mean, do you think Crackdown could be, fixing up some story stuff, making the campaign a little more interesting?
But Agent, what would you do with the dossiers?
Oh, man.
What would you do with a plot?
I mean, quite honestly,
Agent.
is Crackdown still relevant anymore? I mean, how long has it been since Crackdown 2?
I think
It's
it was like
been a while.
2008.
Yeah.
Crackdown was really only ever relevant because it was a Halo 3 beta delivery.
That's true.
Well, I will give Crackdown this, though. It looked interesting. Like, their promotion materials and the concept for Crackdown was interesting. It just didn't... I mean... It did what it said it was going to do, but it just wasn't fun. Like it just got boring after 2 hours.
I had fun with it.
I like Crackdown. It's just not. I mean,
you all know I hate Crackdown.
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of Crackdown 1. Crackdown 2 I didn't get into. But anyway, let's segue on to the info on that, which is Joseph Staten, who's a writer for various games, Halo, done Destiny before Destiny got ruined, Recore, and various other things. He's written books, but he's been taken on as a writer for Crackdown 3 recently. He tweeted about this. So it's interesting. The first thought I had on this, though, was, Crackdown 3 has been in development for how long now? We've been hearing about it off and on for a while. And now they're getting a writer? I'm not quite sure I understand. But
maybe they're getting a new writer.
Yeah, I did kind of follow up on that a bit, and it's possibly not that odd in that they might have had a sort of a baseline story and they're just rewriting it to suit certain things. So he might be coming in to do rewrites and things like that. But yeah, it did strike me as odd. But
it does sound a little weird.
I mean, especially with the delay. I mean, that could have been in kind of what I was saying with it wasn't fun, or it just wasn't interesting, or it was boring. So they said, hey, let's get someone that can write stories and give it an actual story.
Hey, go to the boardroom. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's give it a plot.
But what? But then what will we do with the agent guy?
Well, he'll be there. He'll definitely be there. Don't you worry.
You can buy a plot from the store.
For
sure.
What happened to the agent guy in Crackdown 2? I'm actually curious.
I can't remember.
Is he there?
Turned into a zombie.
Because the end of Crackdown 1, I'm not going to spoil it, but something changes with the agent voice.
I'm fairly certain he was in Crackdown 2. I can't remember, though.
Okay.
But speaking of delays, guys, South Park, The Fractured Butthole, which I'm going to say the proper way, has been delayed as well. Not surprising if you're you're used to dealing with Matt and Trey, but basically pushed to the
question mark.
Yeah.
Sometime within the next year and a half.
Yep, Ubisoft's next fiscal year, which starts in April and ends next March.
So there you go.
Right.
Yeah. Could be 2018.
It seems unlikely if they kind of expected it to come out relatively soon anyways. I expect this is more to do with Matt and Trey's kind of very well-known perfectionism and tinkering with stuff that they do. The Stick of Truth was also delayed extensively before it came out, so that's not kind of
that was kind of different though. The Stick of Truth is that was the whole THQ not having any money and
yes,
someone picking it up, but
right. But there was
I'm sure there was more to it too. Though
there was other things as well. So.
Ridiculous. Hey, have you guys seen the Exploder.net PS4 cheat save system? I mean, to me, it looks like
I have
like the Game Genie, right? I mean, that's what this reminds me of. But essentially, they've cracked the PlayStation save system. So now you can actually buy this. They're actually selling it as a product. And you can essentially game save all you want, and I mean, they even put it on their stupid advertising, like even some of the best gamers need a little extra help to just get past that one level.
The best gamers, yeah,
right? It's just ridiculous. That's like one of their taglines. All gamers need a little help sometimes.
Everybody cheats. Everybody uses steroids.
Yeah,
I was looking at this, and it looked pretty much exactly what like Horizon is, the Xbox 360, where you just download a save, sign it to your profile.
Yeah,
and then
it's essentially a re-signing tool, and it means that when the PS4 Pro came out, there was actually what's the word? An exploit into that. It was a day zero exploit, basically, and that allowed people to get in and eventually extract the signing key that's used to sign save files, which has now led to this. So, yes, the PS4 basically has been cracked, and I suspect that a lot of trophies will be unlocked via this kind of method, which is a bit crummy. So I feel a bit bad for the investigations team over on True Trophies, that's for sure, because it's going to not make things very fun for a while.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I forgot we have there's a sister site.
Don't worry, even the PS4 community doesn't know it's there. But I think the thing, though, what is shocking to me, not that that people go out there find an exploit, but that Sony's kind of going, cool guys, let's just be illegitimate about it. I mean, that's the part that seems kind of odd, right? Like the whole idea of trophies and getting that and having that personal achievement of you did it. This almost seems like going back to, does it really matter if you do it this way or not? Like, why not just give us a checkbox and just say, hey, do you want that trophy? Yeah, just click check. Yeah, I got it. Did the platinum. Check. Bing.
You got the platinum. Didn't get anything else.
But Sony have never really been particularly strong on cracking down on people who cheat their trophies. So, it doesn't really surprise me that this sort of thing happens, and Sony don't really do a lot about it.
And I'm glad. I mean, I saw this. I think NBA Kirkland tweeted it, and he said, "Hey, I'm just glad that Xbox takes pride in their achievements, and they try to create a system that has integrity to it."
ID at Xbox.
Fine, I'll put quotes around integrity.
And I was talking to Jack
I earned all of those achievements
too.
Legitimately.
And he was also pretty confident that Xbox is not, kind of on the way to being compromised. Because, like you said, Freem, that they seem to kind of care a bit more. I mean, obviously there's still lots of people cheating, but it doesn't seem as bad. I don't know, but it seems like trophy cheating is pretty rampant.
Yeah. And the fact that the primary company, Sony, does not crack down on that sort of stuff is one problem. And two, the systems have been compromised. As it stands right now, the Xbox One, to the best of my knowledge, has not been compromised in any way. There has been no break-ins to the system. There's been no exploits past the achievement system itself. And they're even improving the security on those things because
you kind of need to.
Yeah. So, and the fact that it's all server driven now is also another step in that security kind of proviso there. So you need a lot more. You need to jump through a lot more hoops in order to be able to cause a fraudulent unlock. And it's very difficult, and you need a lot of keys, which you just don't have access to. So, I don't see it happening on the One for quite some time, if at all. Save files, on the other hand, maybe, because the console itself has to sign those things. So if there is some kind of backdoor at some point into the console, exactly the same as with the PlayStation, potentially saves could be screwed around with. But
I assume those would unlock achievements. That's what I've always wondered. If you can game save on the One, is it gonna be like, oh, you earned all the achievements in Gra?
I wouldn't think it would work like that. It's probably going to be just the same as, okay, you've got to save up to a progression point, and you go to that progression point, play the game past that bit, and you unlock that achievement because you trip that particular thing in the game.
Right.
It would depend on the game too, because some games will.
But like offline, because you can play offline, you can trigger achievements offline. So if you have a save that says, "Oh, you've earned, you haven't connected to the internet yet, and you earned 45 achievements."
That's not how the achievement system works, though. The achievement system on the One actually stores the achievement unlocks locally, and it doesn't apply to the save. So they're not stored with the save file itself. They're stored in another little sort of holding place, and that place then goes and bumps them off to the achievement server once you reconnect to online. So I don't think that's a vector that people will use to try and unlock achievements.
That's a good thing then.
Yeah. So I think the achievement system has been really well thought through. I mean, we complain about the problems with unlocking and the various other issues that go along with it, and some slow progress or other issues that come along with it. But the fact is that it's super secure now. So you can be pretty certain that people who have unlocked those achievements on the One unlocked them legitimately. Anyway.
That makes me happy. I'm glad they're not being dubious like those PlayStation guys.
For sure. Speaking of dubious, this is sort of just a general thing that's kind of hit me at the moment. I've noticed a few people, and I won't name names because that's just not right, but I've seen this a lot, actually. There are a few people who seem to just create new YouTube channels or create new podcasts, and they do this once every few months. And I've kind of noticed this as a pattern for about the last year and a half, and I've kind of gone, what is going on with this? And I think I finally worked it out. These people are creating these things in order to register a new channel or a new podcast with game developers in order to get access to game codes. And so they get games for free for a certain amount of time. They burn that bridge because they're not really giving good feedback or not providing the service that they've offered back to the game developers, which is publicity. They get blacklisted, and then they create a new podcast or a new YouTube channel. So I think that's really crap.
Agreed. I mean, if that's the case, like, that is super underhanded.
Yeah, and I know this goes on, and it's just it's crummy because basically it really puts a poor light on people who are doing it legitimately, like us. I mean, we're stuck with a brand. We've been going for a year. We're not planning on dropping this name and starting a new podcast anytime soon. So, for the people who are actually doing the work and putting the time in, it's really kind of a bit of a slap in the face, I think. We want to develop relationships with game developers. We want to have those kind of resources and be able to give back to people with, codes or providing reviews and that sort of thing. Whereas if game developers get turned off from talking to YouTubers or podcasters because of people who are essentially gaming the system this way, those things won't be available for the legit people, and that sucks. So I guess just if you're a podcast listener or a YouTube follower and you see people or people who are chopping and changing a lot for various reasons like that, maybe just question why they're doing that, because they maybe don't deserve your support. because their methodology there is basically to get games for themselves, and they don't actually care about the developers. So anyway, that's just Tarragon's rant for the day.
I like it. I'm glad that, get it off your chest. And I agree. I think, certainly, and obviously, I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what people's motivations are, and I think it's abundantly clear from our standpoint. Our show is very much about developing a community who enjoys playing games, and we want to bring you games. We want to bring you, great content. And like you said, we've been here for a year, and we're just continuing to build. And so we're going to continue to lay on top of this foundation, and that's what it is, right? We're not some fly by night type of Mickey Mouse group here. We love our community, and we're so glad all of you choose to spend some time with us. So,
and we appreciate the developers give us codes.
Absolutely,
we like to play their games.
All of their games, Randy? Do you like playing all of the developer games? I know a few developers that are totally dead to you.
Well, hey, they don't give us codes. They'd still be dead to me. But, I would still appreciate and accept their codes.
Everybody.
I'm not going to give them a good review, but I can appreciate their codes.
What if you got a Guitar Hero live code?
Well, those don't exist. It's physical only.
Jesus, Randy, do I have to spell out a segue for you? Good God. Pick up the ball. Run with it.
New solution for Guitar Hero Live. So this one is notorious for hilarious solutions. The first one was the reciprocating saw, which this is the solution.
This is the solution for 1 million strums in Guitar Hero Live. So,
yes. So the reciprocating saw, you put a piece of duct tape on the blade so it doesn't saw your guitar in half. Lay it down, put the blade over the strum bar, and it'll go. It'll pick it up and move it enough. You can get, I think it's, between 1,000 and 3,000 strums a minute or something crazy.
Wow.
So that's about $100. That's what you're looking at, plus a semi-destroyed strum bar. They usually still work, apparently, but there's a little, there's some wear.
Are you including the duct tape in the $100 price tag? I just want to make sure everybody's
$100.15. Yeah. If you don't have a roll, if you're just using from your existing roll, it's a lot cheaper. Yeah. And then somebody came up with a solution using an egg beater. So you stick a piece of cardboard in an egg beater and you hold it over the strum bar and it just goes. So that's the cheaper solution. Now,
but it's slower, right?
It's much
gentler,
slower,
but it's slower,
and requires you to actually hold the egg beater. Now, there's a new solution. There was a comment. I'm not sure who made the comment, but I can
let's not read out the name.
Okay. Anyway, comment says, "My wife possesses a magic wand with a remote that controls the vibrator speed. It can certainly do the work without damaging the guitar. I'll try when I'm done getting 20 million points on Quick Play someday this week." So it may be possible if you possess a magic wand with a remote control.
It'll probably work without the remote control, to be honest. But
yeah, I think you just wanted to brag that his has a remote control.
Yeah, so you need to control the strum speed. It's sometimes maybe too fast, maybe too slow. You got it.
It's tough. It's tough to get it between too fast and too slow, but when you're doing it right, you're going to know. You're going to get the feedback that you're looking for. So.
I'm really wondering what magic wand makes that much movement to actually hit a strum bar.
Magic wand.
Yeah.
But it's still got to have enough pitch on that magic wand, like going...
magic wand.
I know, but I'm just saying, like...
I just wonder, and something that's just occurred to me. I wonder if he put his wife in there, just as a. It's not actually his; it's his wife's. Yeah,
his wife.
Yeah.
Oh man, magic wife. Yeah, no.
I mean, it is a dude on TA writing as part of the solution, so some of it's just wishful thinking, if anything.
There you go. Right.
So this achievement solution continues to provide hilarious content. So keep an eye out in the future. I'm sure somebody will come up with something else great.
The creativity abounds.
And an update on my arm. That is another way, is using your arm. My elbow is very sore.
Yeah, I was going to ask how's that working out for you?
What about your shake weight? I thought you were using that to make it stronger.
I'm over 1 million now, but not in one game. So I'm about 950,000 on the 360 and 250,000 on the one. So I'm hoping this weekend I'll finish the 360 version. That'll give me the motivation to do another 750,000 strums.
and then
God, it sounds awful.
Then you can play a game that you enjoy.
No, gotta finish GTA 5.
Oh God,
that's another deadline. We'll get to that.
Oh my goodness, Terrigan, what else is in the news?
Yeah, this was a bit of a sad one. So listeners of the podcast will know that we had Christian Allen on the show a while back for the Graw special. Christian Allen, of course, runs a company called Cerulean, and they work on a game called Epsilon. He's just recently announced, I think as of yesterday, so as we're recording, he's actually stopping work on Epsilon. Basically just sales aren't there, and he has to kind of focus on his life and his health. So yeah, basically Cerulean is essentially stopping work on games, and that's, there's no real good way to spin that, but other than it's a bit sad. So
yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah,
that was a good show. It was fun having him on.
Yeah, it was.
Boo. Well, maybe he'll surface on another game. Just maybe not have to be independent and just. I mean, there've been a few developers. I just got emails from what was it? One of a Kickstarter I think I follow. But they were just like, hey, we wanted. Oh yeah, it is a Kickstarter. Deadwood, the one with the zombie and the little wood puppet people, and they're like, hey, things are clicking right along, but we don't want to be asking for more money, and we want to stay independent, and so we have to go and do contract work, and that pays the bills, and then all the profits from the contract work go into developing the game. So our timeline is longer, but it's maintaining our independence and the vision we want for the game, and so we felt like that was important. And it's like, hey, awesome. Hey, it sucks that it's not coming out anytime soon, but I appreciate your honesty and good luck. So,
see, what they need to do, the thing is, you need to do a game. You need to do a game like Big Rigs. See, if you like low budget games, you're gonna love no budget games. See, it's like a low budget game, but it's even better because there's no budget. So on that topic, Valve kills Greenlight, and now I saw this at the beginning of the show, and I thought, is this the end of Big Rigs? Is this the end of Big Rigs on Steam?
Yeah. So Valve's ending Greenlight.
So I was disappointed because I was just working on Big Rigs today, and I came up with that slogan: if you love low budget games, if you like low budget games, you're gonna love no budget games.
That's perfect.
And because I mean that I was gonna be like, I had all these ideas to promote it on Greenlight. Be like, hey, click on this goofy image that doesn't make any sense. So it turns out they're getting rid of it in favor of just being able to go right on Steam. You don't have to get voted on. You just have to pay them money. But they haven't decided.
Isn't that great?
Kind of. I don't know. It depends. I mean, if it's $100 like Greenlight, fantastic. Because I can, I can get that together. I can do $100 to Big Rigs, but if they start getting in the thousands, I don't know if that's going to happen.
You got that sugar mama of a wife.
Might be straight to Xbox. Well, she's got to finish med school first.
Oh dear, you guys are so poor.
Speaking and kind of like on that note of just allowing anybody to publish crap out there, now E3's opening the doors to the general public as well, so just
everybody can do whatever they want.
Everybody, it's the wild way. This is exactly why Nintendo had the seal of quality in the 80s, right? Because they look at what happened to Atari towards the tail end. chase the chuck wagon dog food. Like, dude, we're a dog food manufacturer. We can publish a game. Yeah, Venetian Blinds. And people are like, there's just utter garbage. I mean, I've already
that Pepsi game too. I don't think that was ever officially released though.
Yeah, but I think it's just getting to this thing like literally just so much drivel comes out there, and it's just anybody can do it. Which it's good in the sense that not everybody has to work at a major developer studio, but then how does the good stuff filter to the top? So now opening things up like E3, though, at least the general public can kind of, see behind the curtain. Yeah, see behind the curtain and realize how unmagical it is.
It's tough because it's one of those. So I worked at a contract manufacturer that made effervescent tablets, dietary supplements, and so we have people who call us up all the time, and they're like, "Hey, you guys do some development work for us, come up with some prototypes, and we're gonna get it into stores and stuff." And so often we'd get people who, bless their heart, they got an idea. We give them something, give them prototypes, and they'll go take that prototype and go shop it to people. It's like, well, we're not doing all this work for nothing. Like we want you to have a business plan. We want you to, put some money into this. Like just us doing work for you for free isn't going to lead into something. Now, we implemented for some customers, like, oh, hey, by the way, there's going to be a, $5,000 development fee. And to a company that is a legitimate company, they'll say, yeah, that's nothing. That's part of development. Yeah, that's nothing. But other people are like, oh, yeah, I'm just scraping this together. That's too much. And so you preclude those people from being able to get into the system. Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Airborne product, the vitamin C type. So
the non-FDA approved, this actually helps you not get sick. I mean,
we developed that in conjunction with the customer, the teacher who came to our company to develop that, and she would not have been able to afford the initial investment. Like her coming with that idea, and I don't know the validity of the story, but I heard it at work and I believe it is. She got her break through Oprah. Do you know how she got on Oprah? She took her school bus, her Airborne school bus, marketing school bus, and drove it around Oprah's recording studio for days until Oprah was like, what are you doing? And then pitched it. It's like, oh, I really like that idea. And became on her show. She gave it the seal of approval, and we sold billions and billions of tablets. Like, it just takes a creative person, an entrepreneur, Randy with big rigs, right? Like if it was $5,000, you'd be like, that's ridiculous. I can't do $5,000. But
if it was $500, I couldn't do it because I don't know if I could recover that. Like, especially with like the floodgates totally open now.
Right.
I don't know if I'd sell 200 copies to recover that cost.
Wait, is it going to be $2.50? I can't afford that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, thinking, I'm out.
Between
$2
$2 to $5.
and 49 too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a double-edged sword because you're right. You could get a slew of big rigs trucking, or you could be precluding people who, they might have a really great idea and they're just trying to get something started, like Undertale. Do you think the guy from Undertale was able to, be able to shell out $5,000? He already poured 3 years of his, or however many years of his, 7 years of his life. I forgot what the development cycle on that was. But, to add an extra, why do you think so many games don't come in Australia? We talked about it before. You pay an extra $2,000 to get it a ratings approval in Australia? Forget that.
Yeah, and you look at like fairly big indie games still won't release in Australia.
It's just a cost.
But cost that I want to have a track record.
Cost that they don't want to bear for the market size.
But that's kind of like the barriers of entry in like any business model. I mean, the idea at some level is, in terms of business, like you're doing it to make money, and there's that upfront initial cost, that forces company, like you need to at least be making this much or expected to make this much of a return if this is going to make sense to do. Otherwise, You either do it because you love it and you're going to take a loss, or you just sit there and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to make the investment. Like as Randy said, if it's going to cost him $500 to put Big Rig out there, like if it would actually have cost him money, as funny as it is to him, would he actually shell out that kind of money knowing it would be a loss? Like if I
had like an actual income, maybe I would consider it. But yeah, I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. And especially when you look at game development where you're already shelling out probably more money than you can, like almost more money than you can afford just to get it made. Well, time, or if you are hiring somebody or a couple people, you know, you might sink $10,000, $20,000 into a small indie game and then have to pay another, you know, $2,000-$3,000 on top of that just to get it on Steam. I mean, that's pretty intimidating.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's why it's a labor of love.
I'm torn because it might be a labor of love, but it still could be a garbage game. I mean, just because you love something doesn't mean it's going to be any good.
I mean, I would call Big Rigs a labor of love. Labor of love. It's terrible, but it's, I don't know.
I mean, I
think it's clever. I think there are aspects of it that are clever. It's not a good game. It's more of a story and a joke,
well, like a narrative experience, wasn't it?
It's a cinematic racing adventure.
There it is.
Is it going to be in Japanese with English subtitles? It really should.
No,
I want my Japanese visual novels.
Actually, you know, the funny thing is one of my friends who is a voice actor is, I don't know how fluent in Japanese, but he's taken many years of Japanese and could probably do the part in Japanese, but everyone else would be in English.
All right. No, that totally works.
No. I mean,
I took a semester in Mandarin, if that'll help.
What was that?
Your game aside, Randy, just in general, like I didn't mind the old system where it was curated by, like I think you need both sides of the coin. You need curation by the audience, people who are doing it, right? If it's a garbage game, you go and negatively, you know, thumbs down it, or you do the approach that Microsoft did, and you have actual curated XBLA games where, like, you look at the titles and you're like, yeah, you know, I'm not going to put my brand on this because it's garbage. But there you're alienating, or you let the Wild West take care of it, then you know you don't really have any control over it. Well, so where's the line?
XBLA 2 had the issue of the publisher requirement, where you were this tiny studio, you're already giving a cut to Microsoft. Now you have to give it a cut to a publisher too, if anybody will even give you the time of day to pick up a small title. And unless you've published, you know, the requirement is something like 2 retail games or something. Because I remember looking into this a lot when Oddworld was trying to come to the 360, and they were adamantly against having a publisher because that's what burned them in the past, like big time.
Yeah.
And they totally got screwed by publisher, and, you know, had the resources to stay completely independent, but they didn't have, you know, whatever this past
there was
game releases.
Yeah, there was a big criticism of the previous XBLA system where the requirement for a publisher or to be a publisher was, you know, a barrier. It was a barrier of entry for a lot of the smaller ones, and they've certainly removed that with the ID at Xbox.
Mm-hmm. And really, even ID at Xbox, you know, as much as, you know, we kind of criticize it as the floodgates, there's a lot more to getting on ID than there is getting on Greenlight. And really, I think that's enough. Like, I mean, you don't see 20 games a day coming to ID. You know, I mean, yeah, of course, there's lots of, you know, cheap garbage.
Well, it wasn't the case there with Greenlight, is that you've got people can pay before a product is even out. They're essentially paying for a idea, and that's money the developer then uses to go and develop that idea and make a game. And I think a lot of the problem is that a lot of those ideas just didn't come through, so they failed. And people don't get their money back.
You can't buy on Greenlight before it comes out.
Oh, okay. I thought you could. So
Greenlight, the way it works is you put an idea on there. So you pay $100 You pay $100. It's an item you buy on Steam that's $100 donation to
right.
I don't know, a game related charity.
Yeah.
And then Steam gives you the permission to post your idea to Greenlight, which then you require a trailer, 4 screenshots, and a description.
Right.
And that's all you need. And then people can vote it up. And if it gets... They never... See, that was a big criticism of Greenlight, is they never really specify, because there are some games that would be a huge number of upvotes but never get approved. Ever. They just would sit there forever. They'd be like the top of the upvotes and never get approved. And then there'd be a game that gets like 20 and it's approved. So there was no consistency, and it was just very in the dark the whole time.
Wait, so, Steam not being communicative about their background processes? No, say it's not true.
That's so surprising. Yeah, so there was that there was obviously some kind of favoritism going on. I don't know, not necessarily to individuals, but to certain types of games or something like that.
Yeah.
Or just kind of discrimination against certain games that clearly had, the required number of votes, but we're just never getting approved. So hopefully this new system will fix that, but at the same time, it could increase that barrier to entry, where I think the barrier to entry with IDs, because this is another thing I've looked into, because ideally I want to get big rigs on Xbox more than I do on Steam, but Steam is just easy. So there's quite a bit of stuff you have to fill out and get approved before you can publish, and it's not the kind of community curated. It's you are a registered business, this is your idea, this is and more. It has to be more. You can't just throw an idea at them and they're like, oh cool, you have 2 screenshots and a trailer, it works.
Yeah. Hey, so Lord Chabello asked us about that E3 story that Damien mentioned. What do we think about letting the dredges in into E3?
Now this has been...
You're willing to shell out $1,000.
Yeah, I've had people saying that this is the first time they've opened their doors, but I could swear that there was a time before. Do you remember years ago when E3 basically stopped for a couple of years and then came back, or they changed something and they came back? I could have sworn that they had 1 year where they did actually open up to the public for a little while. I guess I couldn't find that reference.
I thought last year they did too, but it was really maybe I'm thinking of GDC. But I thought there was some pass you could get as like something that was like $1,000 or $2,000, something really expensive. But if you really wanted to get in, you could. Yeah.
Still, this is general public. I think it's $250 US for the 3 days or something like that. And I was listening to Randall Thor. He posted a video about this. And I think the thing that sort of really stuck with me was that, well, yeah, that's great, but you're not going to be getting into any of the sort of the real, the press specific events. You're not going to see behind the doors. What you're going to be having access to is where you go and queue for 4 hours to play 15 minutes of a game. It's that sort of access. And so is it really going to be that appealing? You might go once and probably never go again if it's that kind of thing.
Especially at $250
for 3 days.
Well, that just reminds me of
demos.
PAX.
Yeah, when you compare it to something like PAX or other conferences of that sort of style, where there's heaps of things to do, and you're not going to be stuck, waiting that long for a particular thing. You can go off and have fun. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to think of it. E3, I feel, should be kind of an exclusive thing to press, and it should have that prestige, but I guess it's not being as successful as they'd like it to be.
Well, I think the issue is you look at events, right, where as a company you want to control the marketing of your product. And so you have these either shows, like we have the mainstays of Ubisoft, Bethesda, whatever. Many of those are moving out of E3. Why? Well, because you can't cater to your fans. You are broadcasting to a bunch of press. And do you see press hooting and hollering at the floor of those shows. No, they have to report to their media, so they're typing on their laptops, so they're tweeting out the stories. Whereas you pull in, like Microsoft gives 500 tickets to people who can stand right in the front, and when backwards compatibility gets dropped, the whole building explodes. It's because you've got that energy there. You've got a captivated audience of people who are not press who get really excited about stuff like that. That's not to say there aren't press people who get excited. I'm just saying if you're a fan and you're willing to pay the money and go there, you're already invested in that product. And so E3 is doing this to say, hey, look, come and stay. We want you customer, our publishing arms, all these developers, we want you to still come here. Don't go and do what Bethesda's doing and have, their venue on the Sunday before. Or don't do what EA is doing and have it in London and across the street. Like, please come to our convention because we need we need this to stay afloat.
Well, I actually disagree with you on that because a lot of E3 itself is an expo, makes money. And so I think where they're really having to compete with is just the changing marketplace in general. It used to be, years ago, all of your major publications, which were in print, would go and print out monthly. And this was where all of the information was exchanged. What's changed is a lot of developers now, not only your big ones, but even your smaller ones, can publish on the fly. Okay, if I need to figure out what Ubisoft is doing, rather than wait around for E3, they're just going to put out press kits on their website. So a lot of what's happening, and then traditional publications are going by the wayside. It's now smaller podcasts, YouTubers, all this kind of stuff. So what's going to happen? What's happening to E3 is where they were able to basically have this captive audience of this is where you go every year to get all the information. They have to fight for their relevance now because not manufacturers, but publications and all that don't need to go to E3 to get their information. It's really that's great. You guys put out an expo once a year, but you know what? I'm getting information 363 other days of the year. I'm on these mailers. This information's coming to me. So I'm going to go spend $1,000 of my company's money per person to go to this event for 3 days. I could actually spend that money a lot more wisely and get access to far more information without it. So, E3 as an expo is suddenly going, dude, our numbers year over year is going down by how many people are coming here and paying for it. Okay, well, how do we get more people to bring in more money? Well, that's fine. Let's just open it to the public. If people want to pay the money to come in here, okay, we make our money.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense, too, if you're a smaller-ish developer, smaller-ish in relation, I suppose. Why would you choose that date to release your trailer or your information when everything is flooding the gates of the internet at that point? Or you could wait for a random Tuesday in the middle of March and do that and have way more coverage and way more public awareness that something's coming out than you would otherwise. It's an older kind of concept that it seems to be kind of outdated at this point. We don't need E3, I don't think, anymore, like the way that we used to, like you were saying, Damien. It's what good does it serve at this point? So yeah, of course they're losing people. They need to recoup those losses.
And this is how turn it into PAX.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the whole idea of PAX and all that is you're still going to get, the general consumers coming in, and that's, you lower your cost and you bring in more people and you wait in lines and you do stuff. But if you're going to PAX and your media, you realize a lot of times most of the stuff you're seeing at PAX, you already had access to a lot of the information. Sometimes it's just, okay, it's nice to have everybody in one building, and
you can play the demo maybe.
Yeah, I guess the thing that's different with E3 is that you get the big publishers having their keynote and they will announce things that you will not have seen or heard of before, and you will get an idea of what their plans are going forward. Like the backwards compatibility announcement, nobody had an inkling that was going to happen until E3 announced it. So what happens to those particular announcements? I mean, we've already got Sony have their own private convention essentially for Sony stuff. Nintendo have their own thing going. It seems logical that Microsoft would eventually have their own thing, particularly if E3 starts to dwindle. So yeah, it's. I suspect once you have the big guys like Microsoft moving to their own conventions and doing their big announcements there rather than at E3, then E3 is essentially going to die.
Well, then you have the leaky E3 pipeline. Like last year, where they had a mysteriously high number of leaks about a week or two before E3.
Yeah, so E3 stopped being a surprise, and so it's
leaks because you want to get that news out before E3,
so it doesn't get lost in the flood.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But we do that. Like my company does that too. Well, we had when we released the X3, we released it.
But do you announce it or do you?
So what happened? So what happened? So when they announced the X3 at the Mobile World Convention out in Barcelona, well, the day before the X3 was being announced, I think it's a Norway publication had an article the day before the announcement, and what the reason for doing that is a lot of times is so rather than springing on the world. How is this going to fare? What's that initial leak reaction? Because you don't want to have let's look back to Microsoft's, original Xbox One announcement going, man, we maybe should have double checked pushing this as a entertainment center versus a gaming console was going to go over well. Because if they had leaked that a day before and they realized the headlines were, Xbox announces entertainment center out of gaming business, that might not be what we want to announce at this big announcement, guys. We might want to redraw this one up, and not have another PS4 going, we still make a gaming console.
Oh, yeah, and your discs, they work like they used to.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay every time you put it in.
Microsoft is kicking themselves going, dude, we could have maybe figured this out before we just disastrously launched they had a disastrous announcement before you even launched the console. They had months to turn it around where, again, if they had a slight leak before. And so that's what companies do now. But to your point, if everybody's leaking stuff before this press event that's really not even necessary anymore. Leaking.
We're sorry to announce that E3 has been cancelled because everything that everybody wanted to say has already been leaked beforehand. Go home.
Yeah. Leaked. Now, I understand why they do it. I totally get it. It's just, my issue is just stop calling it a leak. Just stop pretending like this was, some secret information that somebody snuck out of the thing. It's annoying because it's so blatantly on purpose at this point that it's just annoying. It's why even bother going to E3? You're just gonna leak it anyway.
Every leak in the history of the world is done for a reason, for an agenda. The only thing that anything ever leaks ever is because somebody wants that information to get out for a reason. So I get what you're saying, but this is old hat. This is not anything new. But it's in the quantity.
Yeah, a lot
of
quantity
makes
Randy.
it so
obvious.
Disagree.
At least before you have the idea of an accident, a rogue employee sneaking out this cool new game.
Why would you, as a company who has a large scale, put a lot of money into a presentation, have some joker on the internet ruin the surprise? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Damien said you get a feel for it when it's not your fault.
I can see that being the case. I can see that being the case sometimes. I don't buy the idea that all of those leaks were done on purpose. I just don't buy that. Some of those things were actually damaging and basically completely ruined the event in some cases. So no, you can't say that every single leak has been done on purpose. I'm sure some are, but I don't think that's the case.
I'm sure some are, and I think the vast majority are not.
I'm gonna keep a tally this E3. I'm gonna say which leak I think is real leak and which one's fake leak. Okay. I bet you they're all going to be fake leak.
Well,
one.
But that's like what you think. It doesn't mean that's what actually happened.
Yeah, I know. No, that means it's a fact. Rain clouds,
alternative facts.
Rain clouds are superior beings, and they're always right.
Oh,
especially at E3 time.
At Real Raincloud Randy on Twitter. Follow him.
Yeah.
He will tweet from his golden throne.
Yep,
I should get that. I should make that real Raincloud Randy.
Well, you
for
have
E3
until
only.
This leak from E3 with Ubisoft, terrible.
The worst leak in the history of E3. There has never been a leak this bad.
Big rigs, the greatest. They've got the greatest rigs. They're the biggest rigs I've ever seen.
Those guys are great rigs. They're huge.
Damien, I'm not going to lie to you. That is actually a pretty decent trump. Okay? Hey, you guys like movies, right? Take-Two had all right, so this is a funny quote, okay? You familiar with Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick? So he was talking to Games Industry Magazine MCV, and he mentioned, here's his quote: We've licensed a couple of titles for motion picture production, and we don't have much more to say about that yet. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. There's more quote. Let me I'll get to that in a sec. But so Take-Two is got at least two, right? A couple movies or IPs that they've licensed out for motion pictures. Now, Take-Two, there's a list here of what properties they own. I'm going to go through the list. BioShock, Borderlands, Civilization, Grand Theft Auto, Mafia, Max Payne, Midnight Club, MLB 2K, NBA 2K, WWE 2K, Red Dead, and XCOM. So of that list, you guys tell me what two movies you'd like to see out of that. NBA. What do you hope is in development?
BioShock and Red Dead.
So
those would be great, wouldn't they?
I'm not sure how there was a BioShock movie planned and developed in a lot. Guillermo del Toro was actually making the BioShock movie, and I cannot remember the name of the film right now.
Was it BioShock?
No, what ended up happening was they were developing that film. The deal fell apart, and he started making this other movie that takes place underwater and is kind of scary. So, like, he's taken bits of what they were going to do with the BioShock film and put it into his next project, which is interesting and kind of cool.
Guillermo del Toro has the worst track record for anything video game related.
What did he do that was video game related?
Well, just his work with Kojima.
They've all fallen apart. Well, there were like 2 or 3 deals before that too that like got in, like were seriously in production, and then like something happened and it's just like, oh, can't do it. Yeah. On to the next one. Oh, can't do that one either. Let's try to make a movie.
He's actually a pretty good director. I don't know. Maybe he just
I agree. I like a lot of his stuff, but it's just like he's got some curse. Anything related to video games just falls apart.
Well, that's kind of.
I don't think it's his fault.
I think that's just video game movies.
Horrible circumstance.
I was going to say that's video game movies, right?
To be honest, though, I think it is his fault. I think he himself commands too much respect, and that he wants more control. And the video game companies are like, dude, it's our IP, it's our control. And I think that's why there's so many creative differences. He's like, no, I want to do this. This will be a better movie. And they're like, yeah, but Andrew Ryan wouldn't be like that. So tough. You have to do it this way.
They don't usually fall apart for creative differences, though. It's like the deal falls apart. Like it's like, Kojima leaves Konami. You got that ownership split and can't do it.
It's a good thing that the video game industry has such a good track record on making their stories into movies. So
it's funny you say that
too.
Because that is literally the second part of this quote. Strauss Zelnick says, "We certainly aren't going to use our own balance sheet to invest in motion pictures and TV. If other people want to license them and we can retain creative control, we're open-minded. The track record for the conversion of video game IP to motion pictures is spotty at best." We licensed this stuff out, but it's probably going to be garbage.
Good luck with that.
That is a brilliant quote. Like, oh yeah, we got some great titles here. You want to make a movie? Good luck, because it's going to suck, I'm sure. For me, I mean, Grand Theft Auto. I mean, I don't think that would make a very good. I mean, you could make a cool movie out of it, but I don't think it's very reminiscent of Grand Theft Auto. I think BioShock's the easy one, and Red Dead would probably be one of the cheaper ones. Borderlands would be awesome, but I don't think you'd pay that much to create a world like that. And I think yeah, I mean maybe. But it'd be R-rated, and
well, the thing is, Mad Max isn't their IP. Mad Max is a game licensed off the Mad Max movies in the first place, so the IP is actually.
But but I'm saying like a Borderlands type movie where I'm thinking of like that kind of like Mad Max is if you had Borderlands, like
it would be Mad Max in space, basically.
I was going to say a Borderlands movie would essentially be Mad Max mixed with Deadpool.
That's kind of what I would see too, and I'd be really nervous to just not get Handsome Jack.
If Ryan Reynolds played Claptrap, that would be perfect.
It would be really tough.
It'd be a very fitting role for me.
It would be tough to get a Borderlands game right, or movie. Sorry, it'd be really tough to get a Borderlands. And
I agree.
And the things like GTA, in the same way that as somebody who actually saw the Final Fantasy movie in theaters,
you mean that CGI one like a decade ago?
Within.
I saw that too in theaters. Right there with you, Peru. I don't remember it. Tell me how it was.
GTA doesn't have like a defining story around it, so it would be really difficult to make a. I mean, you could. It would just be a typical, mafia mob kind of, or gangster kind of movie, and then Red Dead would be a western. Like, it's.
The Ballad of Gay Tony. We must go bowling.
Or should I say the Song of Homosexual Anthony? That was my favorite DLC content.
Oh, yeah. Though, I mean, but Marsden's a great character. Like, you could do a Marsden movie, whereas, I mean, the characters in GTA were cool too, but I don't think they're as memorable as John Marsden was.
You could just do the story of Red Dead Redemption as a movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obviously they have to change some things, but just like that
zombies, probably.
Kind of progression, you could turn that into a generally kind of true to the story movie, and it would probably be pretty good.
No, it was called Shane. It was horrible.
I mean, I imagine that there have been, and I'm no expert, but I mean, the story of Red Dead, not super duper original. I mean, it's literally just a redemption story. I imagine there are probably many. I imagine there are many westerns that have that story essentially to them. So I don't know what that would bring to a movie that we haven't seen before. That wouldn't be interesting. In the same case, like Assassin's Creed would have been interesting because that is kind of a story that we would not have seen in the theaters before. But I haven't seen the film, but by all accounts, not successful at bringing that to it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that was like the longest news segment ever.
Before we transition, I just checked the other game that Guillermo del Toro worked on, and it was called Insane. It was with THQ and Volition. Then THQ went bankrupt. So that was also not creative differences. That was just the curse of there were only 2, not 3. So
he bankrupted the company. Guillermo!
And then now he apparently vows to never work on another video game again because
companies go bankrupt.
Bad things happen. Companies go bankrupt.
He's cursed.
Companies split in half.
Yeah. He absolutely will not lend his likeness to Kojima's game. Oh wait, he already did. Alrighty, hey, let's move into our game recaps. All right, so game recaps, guys. We went so long on everything else. Let's try and keep this as brief as possible. We won't do everything, but we'll add to our highlights that we mentioned earlier in the show. Terrigan, why don't you get the ball rolling with some of the fun things you've done this week?
Sure. Well, I continued on the Batman Telltale series. I got through another episode of that. It's still good. I haven't completed it yet because I kind of got a little bit distracted with a game called Elite Dangerous and getting back to the bubble, and that has basically been, once I've gotten back, that's pretty much been all I've been playing. But just to add some points for the G-Task, I did go off and finish up Virginia, which I talked about last week. The thing about that game, I think I estimated that was probably a 2 or 3 hour completion last time. That's actually not true. You actually have to complete the game twice to get one of the achievements. So you need to go through the entire thing twice. But I would say if you're interested in the game, don't look up a guide and just play through it without anything the first time through. Just experience it, because you can go through on your second playthrough, which is mandatory anyway, and clean up. So don't worry too much about the achievements.
Does that mean it's a 4 or 5 hour completion then?
I would give it probably took me 2.5 hours to go through and do the cleanup run. So on your first run, when you're not actively following a guide or you don't know what you're doing, it can take a bit longer because you're kind of just wandering around exploring stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I would probably give it about a 6 to 7 roughly once you go through the whole thing. But I mean, that's short. It's certainly, and it's not challenging. And yeah, it's just the collectibles and things like that you got to worry about in the second run. I jumped in a sort of a two-man boosting session with Nerve Bullet. We played through some Prey, got through some of the multiplayer in that, so that was good to chat with him. And I did a very little bit of work on one of my higher ranked achievements in the random to-do list, Blast Bunnies. There's one for killing 10,000 blue bunnies, which are like the lowest ranked bunnies in the game. And I wasn't really sure how long this was going to take, so I just kind of jumped in there and went through a couple of rounds. And it turns out that I've been playing that game for, I don't know, I've put a fair bit of time. I know I've probably spent 5-6 hours playing that game, and I've probably only killed about 7,000 blue bunnies.
Jeez,
700, sorry, and so I've got to get 10,000, and it's like,
that sounds awful.
Yeah, so that's a really, really long grind. So I'm not really sure I'm going to continue with that, but we'll see. But that's been pretty much my week. Elite Dangerous and Elite Dangerous.
Nice. Damien, let's
possibly
move over to you.
Space Game as well.
Yeah, so this week I have not been doing a whole lot. As I mentioned earlier, I was doing iZombie for cleanup, and what we'll be overdoing in Review Zed, covering Silvio. I basically ran through that entire game and got the completion this week, so I'll go into a little more detail. Yeah.
Were you number 10?
I was number 10. So rounding out.
That's a really popular game, that one, obviously.
I know. Hey, actually, it's kind of funny how high the ratio is on that, given that, honestly, everything... I think the only thing I would have needed a guide on is those secondary signal achievements. I was like, I would not have found those looking.
There were those and the balloon things. Like, that's just no hints to that at all in some places. But yeah, anyway, we'll get to that in the review.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, just doing pretty much my dailies in Rayman. I've been doing Xbox Fitness, Battle Ages. Started Gimme 5. That's a classic for anybody who still has a Windows phone. That works. Yeah. And then Assassin's Creed Windows 8. That's my tablet Win 8 game that I am cranking through on the completion. I finished my Windows phone. Oh, and because I got rid of Harvest, I could log back into my primary account, and suddenly my achievement started syncing again. So I did not have to restart Assassin's Creed.
Hooray!
Win 8. Yeah, so it turns out, just as interesting enough, if you switch the purchasing account on a Windows 8 tablet and you're playing Assassin's Creed, it will knock off your achievement tracking progress. And you log back in. Don't ask why I had to switch my account, but yeah. Messes up the achievements. Who would have thunk? But that's about it.
It's Windows 8 tablet. Achievements in Windows 8 tablet, yeah. Just looking at it funny.
Dicey anyway, best, right? What about you, Randy? How was your week?
Well, I've been playing a lot, but not a lot of games. So I already mentioned Guitar Hero Live. Hoping this weekend. I started Gimme 5, and it's pretty good. I like it. I mean, I'm starting to get a lot of repeat questions now because I've been playing a lot. It is quite a grind. But the big thing with that game is it has 2 leaderboard achievements that I got both of. So I'm happy about that. Yay. Now another 40 hours of grinding or more.
Wow.
Not so fun. I finished Saints Row Fun, reelected. Not fun.
Saints Row Fun.
Every achievement in that game is buggy. Nothing works properly. It's even buggier than the 360 version. It's a disaster. 1 star.
It's bad. It's bad.
And apparently the Australian version is even worse in terms of bugginess. It's rough.
I think until recently, the achievements wouldn't even unlock for the main story progression unless you were offline.
Yeah, you had to play offline with the unupdated version because they tried to update it and broke it even more. Yeah, it's
oh boy,
man. I'm actually amazed at the issues that we ran into with that game. So the story achievements will not unlock for the second player. It's host only.
Guess who was the second player? Womp womp.
Oh, sad.
So we got a few missions in and then just decided. And then we just decided to split up for the story and do everything. Everything else works, just not the story.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1 star. It's even worse than the main one. I played some pit people, which is fun. I got to level 80, which was a grind. But I was working on that while I was grinding Grand Theft Auto 5 because we have an announcement coming up for that. So stick around. Huge grind. They nerfed the XP. It's like 80 hours now or something stupid. Maybe not quite that long, but it's long. And that's it for me.
Nice. What about you, Prue? What have you been up to?
Well, I've been up to a whole lot. Well, not really. Honestly, I played Toe Jam and Earl, which I mentioned earlier, for the random to-do list. I also played both Assassin's Creed Revelations and Brotherhood. So this is amazing to me, and I don't want to say spoilers because it's not really a spoiler because this is on the cover. But Assassin's Creed Revelations is actually about both Ezio and the other guy who I can't. Altair, thank you. Which I didn't even know. I only played like one mission into that game. But anyways, I just played those for random to-do list stuff. It's actually the second month in a row that I had both a Revelation and a Brotherhood achievement. Got them both. They were.
I think it's telling you something, Prue.
Hey, I completed Assassin's Creed 1. I think I'm good enough. I've got enough goodwill in Assassin's Creed. I shouldn't have to keep doing it.
I
2011 called. It wants its game back.
Yeah, I know. Right?
I tried to get motivated for Assassin's Creed 1, and then it didn't happen because all other games started happening. I was so close. I was so close to popping that in and installing it and trying again.
It's not bad, actually, because I did it not too long ago. I did all the flags. It's not as bad as people say.
I know it's not. It's just
it's certainly not the worst.
I don't like that game. Yeah.
So
I've done far worse for sure.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. They're actually really only besides the random to-do list. I've done other stuff like Skyrim. Just keep playing through it and stuff. But there's only 3 other instances that I kind of wanted to bring up. So I've been for a random to-do list, I have a Portal 2 achievement to get through a block of levels without dying, co-op levels. So I've been playing with Skeptical Mario, and we've been getting there to the last level, and then one of us dies, and it's like, wah, wah, wah. So I think we'll get it. We're fairly good at doing the rest of them pretty quickly, so it's not going to be a problem. But it takes a good, 40, 45 minutes to get to the last level. So it's like you can only put so much time into it. So we'll get there, but it's a little frustrating. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It really is, guys. It's fine.
Is it fine though, Frank?
It's fine. It's fine.
Is it?
So we also have this kind of standing session to do ODST. It's me and Big L and Matriarch and now Weasel Pizza. And it's every Tuesday, and we're just this one achievement in ODST Firefight, Halo ODST Firefight. And
so get through the four rounds on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're having to do that with L? Oh, sorry.
Every
Good
time.
Luck.
So we were in our groove.
Has he set off the Gorgon yet?
We were all in our groove. It was going real well, and then we got about a little past halfway, maybe 60% into the session, and we all got booted for some whatever reason. ODST, said, nope, sorry, we don't want you guys to keep playing. So that was annoying.
Yeah, that's the matchmaking stuff was super frustrating in that, and also the lag.
Just bad. Real bad.
It was okay most of the time, but if you got the wrong people in your group, it was just so laggy that it was unplayable. And anyway.
Yeah, for some reason, of all people, L can be the only one leading the session. So it's kind of bound to be a disaster anyways, but no, it's fun. And then lastly, I just have to mention it because it has been mentioned here before. We talk about it a lot, me and Freem, but the Titanfall session this week was amazing. I mean, I cannot remember a time that I've laughed as hard as I did this past Thursday. It was so much fun. It was so stupid and it was ridiculous and it was out of control, but it was so much fun.
It was like the level of hilarity when you mix, and I don't think anyone was drinking, but I envision a late evening where adult beverages were consumed and you're tired and so that cocktail turns into everything is hilarious. And once it was maybe Joker laughing serum is probably the better way to do it. It's like it's so infectious, and one person just started it, and it spread like wildfire. And I had to tell. I'm like, my face hurts because I'm laughing too hard. Like my cheek muscles are so sore, and I was fairly convinced we lost a couple of people due to asphyxiation because they couldn't breathe.
I feel like you guys should stream these. Like somebody should be streaming this with party on and then have this archive. So when you guys talk about it, you can go back and experience it or attract more ZZ listeners through Twitch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things. You have to be there for the moment because I'm sure if you listen to it recording, you'd be going, what?
You think that's funny? That's just it, right? Yeah, it's... So,
yeah, but there's that energy. I mean, if it's live, you get that great energy.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we badmouth everybody, that's going to be... No, I'm just kidding.
Awkward.
You'll be held accountable.
Yeah, oh my God, it's been great. It's been great. Did you make any progress last night, Prue?
Oh, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I was laughing the whole time. I really don't even know. Oh no, I did. Actually, I'm level 49 on Gen 5. So I'm like, and I got my requirements done, so I can switch over to Gen 6 as soon as I get one more match done or whatever. So yeah. I actually did make some progress, but honestly, Titanfall to me at this point is not about progress. It is
just totally social. It is absolutely social. We barely set anything up and then spend 15 to 20 minutes just laughing our heads off.
Did I ever mention on the podcast how Big Rigs was created?
Yeah, you did. It was like you and was it Jack just in a tired stupor, just saying every inside funny thing you think, and then you were like, we should just compile all these into one game.
Yeah, it was like we kind of had we had joked about it like the day before or something, and then like the next night I was like, we should just make this, and we did.
Well, it's not done yet.
Yeah, I mean,
we've seen the gift.
It got the wheels in motion. Yeah,
there you go.
Oh,
pun
nice.
Intended.
That was a good one.
Anything else you want to touch on, Prue, or should I just get mine taken care of here quick? I did 2 random to-do list achievements. I did finish the Runner 2 one. I got up to 50 rewards for that one, and I did an easy one in Mighty Number 9. Got those out of the way. I went for the one in Yaba, and so that was in doing something in Mission 7, and I needed to finish up Mission 6. Well, I got an achievement, so the Y for Posty is taken care of, but that is a Ninja Gaiden game. Even though it's ridiculous and it's got zombies, it is still a Ninja Gaiden game at heart, and I got wrecked by a boss fight. Played him for about 45 minutes. It is like a series of 4 large-scale battles in a row, and of course, if you die on one of them, you've got to play all 4 of them again. And so I think I can make it to Wave 3. That was the best I did, and then got just wrecked. So that is hard. That is hard. I hit level 30 on my hardcore Diablo character, so we all switched up, started brand new ones on, non-hardcore mode, so we can be a little bit more reckless and try and rip through that game on the original 360 version of Diablo. Titanfall session, like we mentioned, and the other game that so random to-do list related was Quantum Break. I had one for maxing out one of the skill trees. I literally did it in 4 minutes. And I was like, but I already kind of committed to this, so I'm going to actually play it for a little bit more. I just started Act 4, and so I'm going to play it for a bit. I'm finishing that game this month. It is a lot. I forgot how fun it was. So I finished Act 4. I started Act 5, which is the final act. I'm in part 2 of Act 5, and they have the set piece battles, right? So there's a lot of just meandering around and doing the collectibles part of it, which is nice because you don't feel like you're going to miss anything because you have ample opportunity to find in what is a fairly linear game. And then there's a very distinct oh, hey, by the way, bad guys are going to show up and then the mission's going to end. And so it's nice from a standpoint of being able to accomplish everything on a single playthrough or very little mopping up at the end. Of course, you have to do it on hard mode, which I hear the final boss is not very, very friendly. And I even got into a battle where, you're most of the general scrubs you can do pretty well, and then you get the heavily armored guys, and they throw everything for a loop. Or you get the snipers who can one-shot you, and it's well, this is just dumb. I can't use my great time powers because they're so far away. I can't do all the fun stuff I want to do, or the big armored guys ruin all your time powers as well. And anyway, I'm loving it. So I plan on finishing that this month, and I guess that'll cover our wrap ups here. Let's kick it over to the review. You guys already talked about it, you and Tarragon and Damien. So why don't you guys lead us in the review?
Okay, so this week for Review Zed, I am joined by a much sunshinier co-host. So,
well, we'll see about that.
Okay. I think in previous discussion, at least you're more sunshiny about this than me. So, all right. So this week we are reviewing Silvio, which is published and developed by Stroboscope. I think that's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah, Stroboscope, I think it is, but one of those.
Close enough. And it was released to Xbox One on January 13th, 2017. And it's much older, though, on PC, right?
Yeah, it's been around for a few years. It's actually gone through sort of a HD up remake as well, and then recently got released for consoles.
Okay, and so at least a US store price of $12.99. Not sure what that is in Australia, but I'm sure
in Australia it is Infinity dollars because it's not available on our market for some reason. But there we go.
So for our Australian listeners, unfortunately, you will have to reach and bounce.
Yeah, you'll have to be American for the day.
Okay. So this game, and I was not familiar with this game prior to it being on Xbox One, but the best way I can summarize it is a first-person, guess technically, shooter at some extent, but you're a paranormal ghost hunter, and basically you are exploring this old, well, they were saying amusement park, but it really seems more of a chemical, I don't know, multiple things that this area had, but it's abandoned. And you're a ghost hunter going around and seeking out ghosts. I don't want to go through a lot of spoilers on it because I think a lot of this game is around the story that you try to discover. The one thing I found lacking from the beginning is instructions.
Yeah, that would be my main criticism, particularly at the beginning. There's one point very early on where it's when you first encounter one of those dark orbs, and
yes,
there's sort of a double whammy here because they don't really explain what you need to do, and two, the way the coloring in the game worked is you can't even see the thing half the time. It's like I got when I first encountered that thing, I think I died about 5 or 10 times, not even knowing what was coming and getting me. My static thing was going nuts, and I knew something was coming closer to me, but I just could not actually see it. That gets better later, but yeah, the first encounter with that was not great.
Yeah, it probably took me about the same 5 or 6 times to figure out that I saw the counter, like, because you turned your mic recorder on and you see the numbers start getting closer. And then I would see this black mist come, and I'm like running around. I was trying to trap it. I was going, what the heck do I do with this? And I mean, in hindsight, so for all of our listeners, if you play this game, you in the first area you find eventually if you suddenly start randomly dying and respawning, you're getting hit by this black orb. You're supposed to shoot them.
Yeah.
It's not very clear. I had to almost go, I was reading a solution site somewhere, and they're like, so when you shoot the black orb, I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to do to the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
They kind of hinted it because that first area you walk into, there's like a chalkboard there with where it says what types of ammo you can get. But it doesn't really explain that much. And then you just start dying randomly, and you're like, what? The thing is, I couldn't even see the black orb at all, like the black mist thing. Like I didn't even know it was there for like the first 5 or 6 times until you sort of just shooting randomly trying to get things to happen. And so that was a bit confusing. But once you sort of get that down, it gets a bit better, I think.
Yeah, I think after that, I did find there was random times that you either your microphone was going off and you're going, oh wait, it's right on top of me.
Yeah.
And you just die instantly. Or you're sitting there going, it's like 10, 9, 8, and you're like, where's the black? It's supposed to be right in front of me, and you don't want it to like come up from because sometimes it felt like, if you probably know what I'm talking about, but like when you were up on the 2nd floor somewhere and it would suddenly come from the floor below you or the floor above you, like you were just going.
I think it could literally go through things and go through the ground and the floor. So there were occasions on later levels where I knew it was there, and it actually literally just killed me. I'd respawn back at the vehicle, which is your spawn point.
Yeah.
And I'm pointing at it directly, and I can see it getting closer to me, but it's like, it's not there. And then I see it just merge out of the ground, and it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, so it's interesting because literally I think the only thing that could ever attack you were those, and I air quote this, boss fights. So basically what, and I guess for listeners, so you go in the game and you're basically, once you shoot these black orbs, you'll start, that's where you really start using the audio. Before, your microphone would go off and you'd hear these, the words in the static, right?
Yeah, so just little audio snippets of random things.
Yeah. But then once you shoot these black orbs, you record the sound bit, and this is where what I would say shined in this game is the audio. So you record this, static or whatever. If you were a paranormal ghost hunter, I guess this is what they do, their thing. And then, so you have this recording, and now you have this special audio tape where you can play it forward, play it backwards, play it forward quickly, play it forward slowly, and then vice versa. And what you're supposed to be doing is listening for words to come out of it.
And that's a lot of the supposed idea of listening for electronic voice phenomena is that ghosts work in different kinds of space and time, so they might speak backwards or slowly or quickly and that sort of thing. So you need to kind of play the tape backwards or in different permutations to get those words to come out of the static.
So I think if you took that, the game is built around that concept, and you're okay, the game took about, I had a lot of pauses because I was doing it, on and off during work hours. But if you were running through the entire game, start to finish, doing all of the audio collections, and again, not getting all of the words in the static and just doing a quick run through at the end just to kind of do the mop up, this is still like an 8-hour game. to get through everything.
And there are a couple of tricky things. There are sort of, because it's first person, but there are some sort of 3D space kind of puzzles. Like you've got to collect certain items and do certain things in certain ways to get to certain areas. So it's not just straightforward running around with a microphone. You've got to get to certain areas and so forth. But
yeah. So I think they did really good on the audio concept, again, just because that was what it was. But where I found it was just the inverse, like, as you said, you're running around a lot, and the entire thing is just very, wow, you guys really, it felt like they cut a lot of corners on the, engine. And I would have weird glitches, like if you went, like, when you were in the overworld map, let's call it, and you were driving the car, I would get out of the car where I would think, okay, hey, this is probably where one of those words in the static are, like you're driving 300 voice clicks and 150 in. Hey, there's a random bench. Okay, I bet you there's going to be a thing there. Well, if you run out of the car and you would get the EVP, suddenly my car would just spawn magically right back in front of me sometimes.
Okay. There is actually,
that was convenient.
There was actually a button you could press. I think when you got out of the car, it would say like, hold B or something like that to reset the car. So maybe you were hitting that by accident or something. Or it could have just been a glitch. That's quite possible too. I didn't see that particular thing myself. But it was very easy for the car to get stuck in places, which is why they obviously gave you the quick reset.
Yeah, where it just roll. Like, it was very Grand Theft Auto car dynamic. You could do whatever you wanted with that car.
Yeah.
But I just, for me, it was just, while the audio part was interesting, the rest of just the running around and minimalist of the game just felt very, I don't know. Like, it really felt like some of the lack of the graphics was to just cover up lack of just graphics. Like, that's where we cut the corner.
Yeah, I guess I've actually read a little bit more about the development of the game, and I mean, it was basically all done by one guy, and it was also his very first game. So you have to cut him a bit of slack, just because he wasn't even actually a programmer. He got the Unity engine, and he did most of the game in Unity script, which is kind of a it's not getting deep down in the guts of things. It's kind of just telling the engine how to do certain things. And so a lot of the graphics would have just been pre-bought assets and things like that. So nothing sort of hand-built, or not a lot that's hand-built. So, yeah, kind of give it a bit of... I give it a bit of a free pass just because it is basically a first effort, and he's made a few mistakes, which I think are the kind of things that you learn just as you develop more games. So things like just basically teaching people how to do what they need to do when the black smoke comes, and what they need to do with the guns and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. Definitely there's a lack of polish. I think that just shows just it being a first-time developer and a first-time game. But the good things about the game are really that it sets a really good mood. If you play the game with your headphones on in a darkened room, and you basically, because the premise of the game is basically you're listening to a lot of things, you're essentially walking around with all this static and eerie sounds going on pretty much all the time, and it just really puts you on edge. It's a really... which is what it was designed to do, and it does that really well. So even though it sort of lacks in some of the other parts of the gameplay, I think the thing that really stood out to me again was, like you said, the audio parts of it. Yeah,
I mean, like when you find that one cabin in the main map overworld area, and like there's all those photos on the wall, and just like, I mean, again, for a first stab, it's not, I mean, again, like the map is fine. I mean, it's a big world, and there's what it did. And I mean, there was definitely parts where, there was, they had an atmosphere to it, even without the sound, where it was you really got the sense like, yeah, I'm in this abandoned, park thing. You find that village where, everything's like just buried up. And I mean, if I was thinking like, if I was really out there in real life just doing this, it'd be creepy as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. And just all foggy and that kind of that red mist or red fog or whatever it was. just everywhere, and it was very creepy. And then you add the sounds on top of it as well, because you're constantly listening to your microphone to go, okay, where am I hearing these ghosts? And it's just constantly changing through, and and even there's a bit of a soundtrack, like the music as well, particularly when you're driving. That's just added to it, sort of a minimalistic thing. It's interesting to note with this game, it actually has 0 jump scares. It's a horror game, and it does not use a single jump scare whatsoever. It's just all in the mood, and all in the atmosphere, and all in the sound design. So, and I think it achieved that very well, like really well, particularly considering it's a first stab at the game.
Yeah, no, and again, that's one of the things where I think what it did differently is what kept me going back to finish. Because in theory, you can finish the game, or you can get to the last area, and you don't have to finish the game to get any of the last achievements. So really, that last level is, and this is usually for me, this is sometimes a good sign of a game, right? If you go and you finish that last level because you've invested that much time already, and you're like, well, I want to see how this ends. State something versus you get to the last level. Oh, I got all the rest of the achievements. Screw, I don't care how it ends. Done, click. Barbie and her sister's puppy rescues. Yeah, if you didn't need to play that last level, you'd be like, I don't care what happens to the puppies or Barbie. But for this, you kind of are like, okay, you're in there, and I think about making it down those final steps, and you're kind of like, so what is going to happen? Exactly.
Yep.
Now, again, no spoilers. This kind of reminds me of Limbo afterwards. I had to basically go find you and go, what the hell just happened? I don't get is this art again? I don't like art.
The ending is a little bit ambiguous. I'm not really sure exactly what happened in the end, to be honest. I won't go into spoilers. To discuss it any further would spoil it. But it's hard to tell whether or not it's a good or a bad ending at the end. But I guess we'll find out in the sequel, which is being developed.
The one question I have to ask, and we'll take it offline. And if you did, I forgot to listen to all of Bobby's reels because I wasn't listening them for playback and voices. And I started a new save, so I don't have all 10 of them collected. Did you listen through all of them, or did you not listen through them since you did not have to?
I did listen through all of them. It actually, what happened with me is, I collected pretty much everything in the game, but there was an Xbox outage partway through, and part of my achievement progress just stopped, and it actually lost it completely. So I'd collected all 10 of the tapes, but it only registered 90%. So, which was actually kind of a good thing, because it allowed me to discover that actually the uniqueness of those items is not counted. So what I could do is just start a new save, and the very first one I collected actually ticked over my my achievement. So,
okay,
yeah. So that's actually probably a handy tip for the words in the static one, which is probably the more annoying of the collectibles. You can actually just repeat the first area or the first couple of areas and collect those, and they'll continue to tick up the counter for that particular achievement, rather than going around and hunting them all down.
Yeah, but I did find that everything else, like finding the sheets of music and everything else, if you're going through and what I did like about in the tracker was it would put the X when you found all the words in the tape that you were listening to. Yeah, that was really good. And then it would show up on the map where that strip of paper you're trying to hide. So I ended up finding all the strips and everything without having to do any of the read. But for the 80 words in static, I think I had 62 when I was done. So I had to
so it was
do a second run through.
Yep. So and the collectibles, the strips of the music, there was only actually one of those that I couldn't work out how to get, and that actually required one of the secrets. There's like those blinking light things you need to do. You need to actually activate one of the secret ones to get to one of the music shards. But anyway, that was the one I had to figure out, the one in the zoo where you had to climb the wall and you had to jump the gap, because I was like, how am I supposed to get over there? Yeah, the zoo took me ages to work out. Yeah, there's a few of those things if it wasn't for Solutions Guide, I would have missed them. I would have missed the that in the hole. I mean, I got the switch, but
why would I have been wandering out there?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you sort of go, okay, hit that switch, nothing happens. You go, yeah, oh well. Yeah. So, I got that one from the solution too. But yeah, it's just it's got a few nice little interesting things like that in there. And I guess that's a sign of a good achievement, is an achievement that makes you look at something that you wouldn't have looked at otherwise.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so overall, I think, again, I'm very mixed on the review in the sense that if you're into horror games, even though I don't consider it horror, but it's definitely different enough that I think it warrants a look to. Or, I think it's one of those things, like, again, I'm like kind of on the fence on that $13. I think it had enough to offer if you were kind of into doing that, but it's not a very fast-paced actioned game, right? Like I think it takes a certain type of user to want to play this versus others that would just be it's not interesting enough. It's not very fast-paced. It's much more
so immersive. I would say it's definitely not a game for everyone, but if you happen to like psychological horror or that and ghost hunting sort of games, or things that involve the supernatural, and you can handle a slower paced kind of game with a bit of puzzle work in it, then it would be the game for you. And forgive it, it's rough edges because it is a first effort. And for the price, I mean, it's the atmosphere is definitely creepy, and it was certainly creeping me out just listening to all of that stuff and going, well, what's coming?
Yeah,
where's the orb?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was one of those things that, again, it was an interesting enough playthrough. It did something different. It definitely was memorable in the sense that it's not, again, I think it did something that I haven't seen in these genres before, which was refreshing in that sense. That was what I was going to say. If you complain about Assassin's Creed and running around getting collectibles, this would be another one of those. I think, honestly, half of the achievements are all collectibles based. So there's a lot of collecting.
There's a bunch of them. A bunch of them will just come naturally, like the ones where you're listening back on the tapes and things like that. That will just give you achievements willy nilly. In fact, if you play through the entire game and you listen to every single of the main recordings that you got, that's the entirety of that collectible set. You almost can't miss it if you do a complete playthrough. And then just actually do the work with the tape recorder. The words in the static one was probably the most annoying. I didn't really find the music sheets to be too bad because that was related to the tapes. You'd listen to the tapes, that would give you a location of a piece of music, and you could actually see it. It actually was indicated right in front of you on your map. You could just walk to it. So as far as the collectibles go, they weren't too bad, except for that words in the static one.
Yeah, so I think if you've listened to this review and this sounds like something that's intriguing to you, you probably won't regret the $12.99. I think it's going to be right up your alley. But if you're just listening, like going, it sounds too slow, or I don't want to go collect tons of stuff. Maybe look through. There are some good video walkthroughs, so I would say look through the first level video walkthrough. If you're on the fence, and just kind of look to the video and see if, like, hey, this looks actually kind of interesting. Because once you're in there,
I think when I first attempted the game, I kind of got a bit put off just dying at the first bit. I sort of did that a few times and thought, okay, I'm just going to put it down because I can't work out what to do. And then I went and watched the True Achievements did a stream of it, and they got past that bit, and that kind of got me back into the game. And from there, I was hooked for the next. The next week, just playing through the whole thing. So,
as I said, I finished it in a week too, and I mean, definitely, I found myself, going back, going, okay, let me get through this section, and I mean, it moved fairly quickly once you get through it. So,
well, let's wrap it up there. Definitely recommended if you happen to like the genre and that style of game. But I mean, it's the gamer score out of it's not too bad if you're not into the top style of game. It's not too long to finish, but it's definitely for a particular audience, I think.
But thanks for joining, and I'd definitely say good one to pick up. It's definitely interesting.
All right, nice work, Terrigan, Damien. You guys did a great job. Hey, how about we move into Knobs and Discos, our home for unobtainable and discontinued achievements. Take it away.
Someone.
You put him here, GI guy.
Man. Crandy, what are you doing? You let me down.
No, I'm just the fossil on GI now. I change distribution methods sometimes. Yeah. Or if somebody sends me something, I'll maybe do it.
Yeah. Pro Evolution Soccer 2015, both Xbox One and 360, the servers are down, so multiplayer achievements related to that are down. Not totally unexpected, but they are gone now. There's no other real... there's one other proper discontinued one, which is in Rise of the Tomb Raider Windows 10 version. There's actually it's essentially a buggy achievement that's made it a discontinued. It's to do with the challenge modes, and they've apparently upped the challenge mode count that you need to get on Windows 10, but not on Xbox One, and that seems to be related to a DLC thing. So they've actually fixed it on Xbox One. It's not fixed on Windows 10. You can't get that, or can't get a couple of the challenge achievements there. Way to go, and Golden Child. Bug-wise, Gimme 5. Redemption Denied actually mentioned this on Discord, that there's several achievements in Gimme 5 that aren't popping for people. So he said he got the bow and arrow and made it to question 65 and should have popped 3 things and got none. So yeah, it seems like it can be a bit flaky. So just something to be aware of there.
I have a comment on Gimme 5 in my playing. So the game requires an internet connection to give you progress. But if you are playing and you lose connection, your progress will save. You'll continue to unlock achievements, but they won't sync until you unlock another one with a proper connection.
Right. Okay. So maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah, that may be something to do with that. But my experience, all the ones I've gotten so far have popped, but I did not get any of the buy an item and equip it ones, because there are a few of those.
Okay.
So next, the one that I put here.
Yeah.
GTA 5, the transfer feature is going away on March 6th. Now, if you plan on stacking the game, that's kind of a big deal because the multiplayer is really time consuming, especially now that they've nerfed the XP substantially.
So this is the transfer from 360 to Xbox
from
One.
360 to any other platform. So even if you wanted to play on PS4 or something, so you get a one-time character transfer. There's not a sync. This is a transfer. You will keep your character as is on the 360, and you can import it to both Xbox One versions if you want of the game. Now, in order to do that, you actually have to possess both of those games. So to do the transfer, you have to start up the Xbox One version of choice or choices, get to the point where you can play online, and then choose to import your character from the 360. Now, I'm not sure if you have to...
So when you say both, you mean the Japanese stack of the game as well? So
yes.
Yep, right.
Yeah, so from all reports, it imports to both versions.
Okay.
Now, sometimes you got to do a few things to get the achievements to pop, but that's just a transfer issue. They'll pop. That's fine. But as of March 6th, you can no longer do that. So that means if you've made some progress and you plan on doing both, transfer your character anyway, because you'll at least get some progress. Ideally, what you want to do is get all of the online achievements in the 360, import to one or both Xbox One versions, load up the multiplayer, and they'll all pop. So you don't have to do it twice. You will have the stats you had on the 360. You don't have to get level 100 again. You don't have to buy more cars. You don't have to buy more apartments. You have all your goodies. You've got all your achievements, freebies. So deadline is March 6th. Get your stuff done. No, it's not. And especially, I've been idle boosting for like 2 straight days, and I'm not even level 50 yet. So it's long. But you can do it. It's doable. It's definitely doable. It's just going to take some time. And it's easy to do it while you play Xbox One or PC game or whatever.
So another game you enjoy, like Guitar Hero Live or something.
Yeah, exactly. You can make double progress. So fun. Or Saints Row Fun. I was playing Saints Row Fun.
There you go.
Same time too.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's it for GTA 5. Not really a knob or disco, but definitely worth mentioning because it's going to make some achievements substantially harder very soon.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, is that it for knobs and discos?
That is it.
Awesome. I got some zombie news from our zombie news correspondent, Saucy Slingo. Thanks for this piece of news here. Chicago Tribune. The Illinois state government, they've been talking about zombies, turns out. So this is what happened. They voted on Thursday. They said that the state house has approved a measure that would make this October Zombie Preparedness Month. And ultimately what that means is they essentially want people to think about natural disasters and have enough emergency supplies to last for 72 hours. That's really the goal of it. And so, the quote, some of the quotes they've asked some of the different members of the House. He's like, if I'm told that you're prepared for zombies, then you'd be prepared to deal with a natural disaster like tornadoes and blizzards, natural disasters of any kind. That was Emmanuel Chris Welsh, the representative from Hillside. Then the Naperville representative says, while zombies bring levity to the conversation, the measure calls attention to the importance of natural disaster planning. It's not when things go well that we need a plan. It's when things go off the rails. Okay, right? These are all just kind of, whatever. The best comments come from Lou Lang, Democrat from Skokie. Yeah, Skokie, Illinois. He says that the proposal, quote, awakened various zombies in the chamber. So he takes a jab at his fellow housemates. And then apparently the Republican from Geneva, Stephen Anderson, he really wants to do well by this. And so he questioned what type of zombie they should use as the model, where he said, like, zombies on the show like Z Nation are quick and smart, whereas those in The Walking Dead are slow but come in droves. He wants to be prepared, so he needs to know what kind of zombie apocalypse we're doing. Fast zombies or slow zombies. And then finally, and this is probably the most gagging one here, the Representative William Davis, Democrat from Homewood, said that the zombie apocalypse is often portrayed as an end-of-world scenario, which isn't a fair representation of natural disasters from which resilient Illinoisans will bounce back from. Oh,
so it'll be like a Dead Rising situation.
Wait a minute. They're called Illinoisans?
Illinoisans? Illinoisans?
Illinoisans?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Illinois.
Right? So they finish up by saying, hey, this might sound like fun, but if you're really concerned about disaster, the natural disaster that's happening in Illinois is all economic. Like, come on, guys. Hey, guys.
Detroit.
Bring it down, man.
Wait, right? So finally says, hey, if we need to do something like a zombie preparedness month to get people's attention for an important issue like a natural disaster, then fine, so be it. Have some fun.
This. Like, it's such a creative way to, like, you kind of have to blow it up, and then you're like, well, if you can do that, well, then you'll be fine for this. Right. Like, it's kind of great, and like just the fact that a state is saying that it's a zombie preparedness month, like, that's going to get people's attention.
Right. Yeah. So anyway,
brilliant.
That's zombie news. Let's before we totally wrap up the show and I ditch you guys to talk about all the contests that we have going on, let's talk about what we're going to be doing the next week, month, near future. My plan is, I told you I'm going to finish Quantum Break. That's number one, because I am totally planning on doing Mass Effect 1 in March for the March effect. Yes. I'm feeling
it. You made me gasp. I literally
think it's time. I think it's time. I'll be working on Titanfall, doing some Frontier Defense. So if you guys see me on and you want to do some Titanfall, we're trying to set up some sessions for that. And then Goosebumps the game and Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon.
Goosebumps.
Yep, I got some random to-do lists.
Did you
for
play
those.
Goosebumps yet?
I played half of it.
Why didn't you play the whole thing?
Because
it's not that long.
I just got the random to-do list achievement I needed.
Well,
and then
you better
stopped.
Finish it. If you're going to do that achievement, finish it.
I have another achievement, and it's like, well, I might as well just close it.
You are getting lectured.
Yep.
It's so good.
For the gamer tag challenge, I'm going to go do some State of Decay on the 360. I'm going to do This War of Mine for the From Poland with Love, Oceanhorn and iZombie, and I still have a call out there for a couple more random to-do lists. I need help on Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare on the 360 doing some garden ops, and I need some help in Gears of War Judgment doing some horde mode. And remember, Gears of War Judgment is also from a Polish developer, so that will qualify for the MOKAS in February. So that's what I'm up to this next week. Hit me up if you guys see me. You can catch me at Freemhole, FREAMWHOLE on Twitter, or private. I'm Freemhole everywhere. Just, you can find me. TA, Xbox. Look me up, hit me up, let's game. Randy, what are you going to be doing this week?
Everything's on hold for stupid deadlines and games I don't want to play. I want to play GTA 5, but not the stuff that I'm playing right now in GTA 5.
That's right. You don't play games for fun.
No, absolutely not. Especially when there's deadlines. Even less fun when there's deadlines. So yeah, Guitar Hero Live, I mean, it's not a formal deadline, but we know it's coming. The end is near.
The end is nigh.
So
do you want people to find you, or no? You're anonymous and ambiguous.
No, I'm not done yet. You know, and GTA 5. I'm idle racing and doing heists with Prue and Thug and another person. So unfortunately that group is full, but that's what I'm doing. It's pretty boring, and all my other games that I actually want to get done are on hold until those are done. So I'm Randy2727 on Twitter, Crandy on Xbox Live, pretty much Randy2727 everywhere but Xbox Live.
Brilliant. What about you, Damien? What are you up to this week? Year?
Yeah, probably just doing the same, just grinding away my Rayman, Battle Ages, Xbox Fitness. What are we reviewing this next week, Randy? Did we decide yet?
I don't think we decided yet. I'll play that too.
Yeah, whatever we're reviewing,
you probably should
play
do that.
We'll play undetermined game for the next week.
We will play that game that we decide on soon.
Yeah. As I said, I'm trying to figure out if I finish iZombie, I'm going to be at my 600th completion. So I'm trying to think if I want to start something new to either finish off or just find something unmilestone-ish. Maybe I'll go grab Hexic HD. I only have one achievement left to finish there. There's so many of those games.
Have you done My Horse and Me Too yet?
Yeah, I did that years ago.
Okay.
You know what I really should do? I should opt into that random to-do list challenge, and maybe that will motivate me to.
There you go.
Well, you can do like I do in the random to-do list, where if you get one achievement in a game, you just finish the whole game before you move on to the next one.
See, I try to pick one game from my random to-do list to finish. It's a good it's a good thing to do because like you're already going back, so why not?
Bingo.
Exactly.
Bingo bongo. What about you, Prue? What do you got going on?
So, well, speaking of that, I'm still trying to finish Skyrim out. I haven't had too much time to really get back into it yet, but I'm gonna focus a lot on the random to-do list this upcoming undetermined amount of time. And in fact, one of the achievements that came up in my random to-do list was the Star Trek game from the
Space
movie
Trek.
not too long ago. Yeah, so it's actually the achievement for completing the game on hard, and I completed the game on co-op on normal ages ago when it first came out. So I actually might try to finish that one out. So Skyrim is still my top priority, but that's probably number 2.
Is that the one that's going Games with Gold next week?
What?
Space Trek game?
What? No, wait.
Unleashed?
Stop it. Stop your nonsense. That is Star Wars, The Force Unleashed.
You fell right into that
Randy
one.
is talking about. Not even close to the same game. But
The Space Trek.
No. Okay. Cut it. We're done. I'm out of here.
I didn't think you'd fall for that one.
I actually
had to try.
I was like, wait a minute, I definitely wouldn't know if Star Trek was Games of Gold. Anyways, yeah. That's what I'll be working on.
Brilliant.
Where can we find you, Prue?
Sorry. You can find me on Twitter at OneUpDan. That is the number 1, not the word.
Bingo.
And all the usual places. As for me, I will be mostly playing Elite Dangerous, I think, now that I'm back in the bubble, and I've been we've been working basically on our player faction sort of home. We haven't got a player faction as yet, but that is in the back of my mind, and gathering a bunch of people together to kind of work on that sort of stuff. So that's been where most of my interest is going. I've got to get back into Mirror's Edge, though, because I basically didn't touch it at all this week, just because Elite. And I really should probably look at my random to-do list and the gamer tag challenges. I kind of get sidetracked, though. It's a bad habit of mine. So that's pretty much me for the next little while. You can always find me on Twitter at 22TMA, so it's the number 2 TMA, or on Discord and True Achievements as ZZ Urban Spaceman everywhere.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've got a ton of contests going on. It's the middle of the month of February, and so, of course, all of the February contests are in full swing. I hope you have got your random to-do lists going, and you've been chipping away at those. Of course, this month for our Gamertag Challenge is Mattism and Posty. So you can do both. One, whatever, you get 10 submissions for completing it, and you can get 1 submission if you have to do some subs, like for the letters I, O, Y. You can find everything out you need to know about the rules and how to get into that contest over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, of course. And to find those contests that are active, simply type that into the search menu, active, and you'll find the Gamertag Challenge. You'll also find the monthly challenge this month. So February, a little different. We're not doing a gaming series like we did for January, Disney Infinity. This month we are doing Love and Hearts, because you know what? By the time this releases, it'll be the day after Valentine's Day. I hope you did something great for your sweetheart. If not, then you can make it up to her through some games that have the word love or heart in the title. So if the game itself has that word, like Make It Rain, the love of money, or Nightmares of the Deep, the cursed heart, right? Both of those, any achievement in those games will count. Also, though, you can unlock any individual achievement that has that word. So my example, I've been using Colder Than the Devil's Heart in Max Payne 3. So that would get you 1 entry for that. So any achievement in games that have love or heart in the title, that gives you 1 entry. And you can get each individual entry for individual achievements that have the word love or heart. So get on your TA search function and track those down. Of course, there are some rules, like I'm not taking the word clover, even though it has the word love in it. I'm not taking the word hearth, even though, technically it has the word heart in it. They do have to be some type of amalgamation of that word. I will let prefixes and suffixes play, but, post them in the forums when you get them, and if there's an issue, we'll let you know, but should be pretty straightforward. Of course, I do have to remind you, make sure you do post them. We just talked about with Damien earlier in the show, where he's like, hey, should I have posted my Disney Infinity completions because I have them all done? You totally should have. That would have been 70 entries into the contest and given you a 9% chance to win. And it didn't happen. So if you want to win fabulous prizes, you make sure that you post in the forums. Otherwise, I have no idea. I can't search otherwise. So make sure you get that going. Like I mentioned, the random to-do list. You can sign up at any time, get a new list each month. One thing that Terragon and I did want to mention, though, is, so of course, any Windows Phone games, we can re-roll those for you since they're kind of goofy and buggy. That's if you want. You have to request that you want them. But as a public service for us, oh my gosh, it would be so helpful if there were games. I know sometimes they fall through the cracks, but if there's games on your list that you don't want anymore, or you don't want to have any achievements show up, please set them to do not own or unable to play or no longer have. in your TA games collection, because that'll take them off the search criteria for how we generate those lists. They'll still be in your games collection. It's just under your notes, you'll act like you don't have them anymore. So please curate your list just enough so that we don't have to do rerolls, because it doesn't take that much time, but it is kind of annoying. So anything you can do to help would be great. We've got the new M. Surin monthly challenge. This for February is from Poland with love. And so we are looking for Polish developers. I think some of the more popular ones are People Can Fly. You know, they worked on Gears of War Judgment. They have also worked on, oh crap, I forgot. I have the list upstairs. But the other big one is Techland. Techland has done tons of work on the Dead Island series, as well as Dying Light. Those are some popular ones. And then there's some old 360 titles. So if you go into the forums, Skeptical Mario, huge thanks, went and found the wiki link to Polish developers. And you can click on each one of those developers and see what games they have. So there's like some old school 360 ones that you might already have done. And that'll get you some entries into the raffle if you have already completed those. So keep a lookout for that. It is great. So that's February. And then finally, over our Discord chat, discord.me/Z2Z, you can find, not only can you find an awesome community of people who are very, very talkative. It is a booming community, especially on weekdays. I think we all would much rather be talking and chatting than doing actual work. So it's always can find people there hanging out. And so you can chat about games, you can chat about everything. But we also have our boosting and co-op chat rooms in there as well. So you'll see on the side, they'll say LFG _ and then whatever the game happens to be. And so if you're looking for somebody to play with in those specific games, that's a great place to try and set up a time to get together. Those are people who are interested. I know we have our Titanfall sessions are in there. Destiny, Diablo. There's an Elite Dangerous discussion thread in there. That is hugely popular. We've got Overwatch, Battleborn. I will say the Titanfall one just recently changed its name to Kettle Karn, so you're gonna have to get a little creative on that one. But go there. You can chat about setting up the games. If the specific game you're looking for isn't there, we do have the generic LFG. It's just a blank LFG, and you can go in there and be like, hey, I'm looking for some people to help in Plants vs. Zombies Garden Ops. Anybody around? Anybody can help? Or, hey, do you want to do a quick 5-10 minute session just to get this one achievement? Typically, people are near their consoles or relatively available, and we're a global show, so the time zones tend to work out in some capacity. You'll find somebody who can help you out. So finally, we do have our GTAC teams being tracked, and if you want to have a small little discussion section with your GTAC team, you can coordinate plans, you can post strategies, whatnot. You can we will be happy to set that up for you in our Discord chat if so interested. Other than that, I think that's what's going on in the world of Z2Z and our forums. All of this information can be found at our forums, forum.z2z.com. We recommend you go there, take a gander around. All of our contests are free to enter. You simply just have to qualify. It's a small token that I'd like to contribute to the community, but I think it's fun. It's a little incentive. We might be a little casual. Some less casual than others, but we're all here to have a good time and play games. So head on over, take a look at what we have available for you, and please join the fun and join our community and come chat with us. And if you're already in our community, we love having you. So I think it's about time we just wrap this whole thing up. So, hey, thanks everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. This has been a blast. What a great crew we had, all 5 of us on. This was a lot of fun. And if you enjoyed it as a listener and could help us out, please give us a rating on iTunes. Wherever you listen to this, it helps us reach more people. We so appreciate the feedback. And man, you're such an engaging and awesome community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course, you can visit our website, z2z.com. There you got show notes, credits, links. Maybe we'll put a picture of that horse's butt in there for you. It'll be delightful.
Did crewmate send the picture over?
Oh, he hasn't. He forgot to send it, so I'm gonna get one tomorrow. I guarantee.
Okay.
Okay.
Brilliant. All right. You can also contact us, Twitter at Z2Z, ZEDTOZED. Our email, contact@Z2Z.com. You got private messages. We gave you our gamer tags, our TA, TrueAchievements.com gamer tags. Or even better, come chat with us on our forums, forum.Z2Z.com, or Discord, discord.me/Z2Z, all one word. That would be a great place to go. We have so much going on in our Discord chat. Big thanks to Libsyn, Discord, Trello, Twitter, Discourse, Zencaster, Skype, and True Achievements for providing all the tools to make this show. And to all the games media and sites out there that have helped make this show possible and achievement hunting a reality. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And finally, Microsoft for the amazing Xbox console. So, on behalf of Prue, Terrigan, Damien, Crandy, this has been Brandon, and to all you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next episode.
Later.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, everyone.
That's a thing.
Fucking art. I've really come to realize, it's like I'm not an art guy. I don't look at it like, can you really deeply analyze? No, I want my just straight up. Like, don't give me any subtle. Like, no, f this. Like, just straight cut to the chase. Dirty, vulgar. That's how I like it. Like, subtle.
Yikes.
No.
Not for you.
I don't have the time. I don't have the time for like, do you want to make it really like, fuck, no.
Wait a minute. You're saying you have time for roller coasters on work days, but you don't have time for art.
It's after 5, asshole. I'm not doing it on the clock.
I'm just asking questions.
All right,
but that's like a roller coaster, right? I'm doing King Dakar at Six Flags New Jersey. It's the tallest roller coaster in the world, and it's the second fastest by like 3 miles per hour. And it literally, you go 0 to, I think it's 80, and then you shoot straight up 425 feet, and then go straight down. And like,
it's not. What I'm hearing is it's not very subtle.
No,
you like things. You like things without subtlety.
It's like
roller coasters.
Bam, you just shoot, boom. You're
ambiguous endings on games. No. I liked Red Dead Redemption. Bam, shoot. It's nature versus nurture. It's pretty. It's not. It doesn't take a lot of like. Let me really think about this one. Like, no, I didn't need to. It was good. Straightforward. There were a lot of subtle undertones in a lot of the Red Dead Redemption stories, though. So.
There's certainly.
I don't mind subtle undertones, like, as the story progresses, but when it's just so ambiguous at the end, you're going like, what just happened? I'm like, I don't like that. I like BioShock, right? That there was a twist. It was... there was subtle undertones, but it was very, very easy to also figure out kind of what's going on after it's been presented to you. Like, okay, I get it. Not inside, where I'm still going, what the hell was this about? We don't want to tell you. No thanks. Terrible.
How do you really feel?
Really?
So
the worst.
On that bombshell.
Let's wrap this bad boy up. Here we go.
Okay.